And we are live here on Plus One EXP's Roll for Content channel. My name is Tony Vicenda. I'm Chief Alchemist here at Plus One EXP, which is a weird little brand that multi-classes in tabletop game design, beard, and skincare alchemy in the Bardic College of Content Creation. Our hope and desire is to help amazing designers find great players who love their games, and amazing players find great designers whose games they can love. We do that in a lot of different ways, but the most fun way is sitting down to play those games with those designers. Today is no different. We are playing Shiver Slasher. Shiver has become somewhat of an installation here on Plus One. It was one of the first games that we were able to sit down and play with the creator. We got to play with Barney and Charlie. Charlie's back with us today running for it again, but we also got to play with Dan, who has been with us for every play of Shiver that we've had on the channel. No matter who else is here, we've always got Dan. I'm very, very excited to have the crew back together, let you meet our characters, and dive right in. With that said, since I've already mentioned them, Dan, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do, where they can find you online? Oh, except for Dan seems to have lagged out right at that moment. Got so excited, overloaded the internet at their house. Let's actually go to the thing I normally do first, and that's asking Charlie to tell us who you are, what you do, and tell us a little bit about Shiver.
Okay. Hi, I'm Charlie Menzies. I'm the lead designer at Parable Games, and we make Shiver, the role-playing in the strange and unknown RPG that's designed to replicate any of your favorite horror pop culture moments, movies, books. So if you want to play Stephen King books, you can. If you want to play Jurassic Park, or shoot off into space and fight xenomorphs, you can do that all with the Shiver system. It's a setting agnostic, go buck wild playing as your favorite horror characters and trying not to die RPG.
Awesome. I think that's Dan dropping out and hopefully coming back in just 1 second. So we're just going to look weird for a minute rather than me trying to shift things around. One day I'll get concerned enough to just build in slots rather than doing it the weird way that I do it. Awesome. We've always had a blast playing it here on the channel. We always love getting to play with different folks. Laura, I'm going to move you into a frame for a second. That'll be the one weird thing I do. And why don't you tell people who you are, what you do, where they can find you online?
Hi, I'm Laura Page Turner. I design games. That's what I do. I'm pretty, and I'm cute, and I'm fun, and hot. And you should follow me on the Twitter at Glaive Guizarm, or seek out Glaive Guizarm Games for weird little games about weird little things.
Awesome.
Like me.
Awesome. We did all those things, correct. We did talk about safety before we go live, as always, but just for our audience out there, we always believe in using safety tools here on Plus One EXP to keep our game on track and headed in the right direction for everybody, especially since we play with different folks all the time. We use a couple different tools. There's our lines, veils, and the X card. We also use an open door policy. Lines are things that may happen in the world of our game, but don't happen in the course of our play of it. They are off limits. Veils are things that may happen, but they happen within a specific context. That might mean we mention them and then they fade to black. Or just touch on them lightly, or only address them within a certain context. X is the ability for anybody at any point in time to say X, type it into the chat, pause the game, identify the issue, and then move forward in a different direction. Dan has messaged having to reset the old router real quick, and we'll be right back with us. But with that said, we have a couple of lines we've already discussed, and then Charlie, maybe if you could kind of repeat those things, or lines of veils, repeat those things back to us, and then give us any sort of updates on what people are going to kind of expect from the stream today, as far as caution warnings or anything else like that.
Okay, so our kind of with our pre-discussion of the game, the two subject matters that we discussed kind of as a group that would be completely left alone is any kind of portrayal or expressive sexual violence that won't be in the stream, and any violence towards children as well. So those were the two things that are not going to kind of pop up in the stream. I will say it is a slasher story. So for kind of anyone listening or watching, there will be a bit of blood, there will be a bit of gore, there will be a kind of bit of horror and terror. So just for anyone kind of out there watching the stream, just be aware that is kind of what we're playing. But those two elements are not going to kind of come into the story. In terms of what we're actually playing today, we are playing Return to Camp Blood. So this is the adventure that is going to be in the new Slasher starter set, which we're currently running our crowdfunding for Shiver Double Feature. So we're going to be playing a condensed version of that today, where you're all going to be playing a group of camp counselors working at the notorious, the infamous Camp Blood, which has a rather dark and rather scary past.
Which is kind of surprising with a name like that. You just would assume nothing ever went wrong at Camp Blood.
No, absolutely not. I mean, Camp Blood's completely peaceful. I don't know what you're talking about. Their PR manager has definitely not had a very, very hard time with that name, as well as the events that may or may not have happened at the camp.
While we are waiting on Dan to get back, normally we do this at the end, but let's talk a little bit about the actual campaign itself. Tell us a little bit about, like, this is y'all's third release for Shiver. Tell us a little bit about what people can expect for Double Feature while I get it pulled up here next to us on the screen.
Sure thing. So Shiver Double Feature is our third crowdfunding campaign, and it's our attempt to kind of start looking at new subgenres, but looking at different areas of the horror spectrum as well. So we've play tested the game and done kind of tons of events with people playing various different stories, and we're very aware that there is a big horror bell curve for kind of where people's kind of tastes and resilience for horror actually lies. So with Double Feature, we wanted to explore both ends of that bell curve. So our big horror diehards who kind of love the genre, love their kind of blood and their splatter, and their murder. You've got Shiver Slasher, possibly I've always kind of been quoted a lot of saying that horror is a broad church, and I would say within the subgenres, well, Slasher's like the Catholic Church. It's big. It's a big old subgenre within there. It is a very dominant one. It's one that we really, really wanted to explore. On the other side is Shiver Blockbuster. So we understand that there's sometimes with horror, it can be quite overwhelming, that not everyone wants to kind of be terrified all the time. And with this one, we started to explore how do we kind of set that tone for something that's like a little bit spooky, has a little bit of kind of tension in it, but isn't kind of full-blown horror. And we landed on Shiver Blockbuster to tell what I call tales of Spielbergian peril. So for us, like in the UK, if it's a 12A, in the US, I think it's a PG-13. Like for when we were kind of going through writing and I was working with our new writer Adam on this, we used to do screenwriting together. So it was kind of on a classification board, it has to be like no way beyond a PG-13 was that element. But it's more about putting people in peril, action, kind of high octane, kind of like moments of tension, rather than pure moments of terror. So that's where Blockbuster sits. So that's our kind of new bell curve that we're exploring with our double feature.
Awesome. Absolutely love it. I also love the art on the boxes that kind of immediately suggests the type of stuff you're doing for the two sets. We were talking about earlier, this is also kind of a great time to jump in on Shiver for a couple of reasons. One, it's always a good time to jump in on Shiver. I mean, there's that simple piece too. But the other thing is GameFound as a platform really supports if you've missed previous stuff. If there's things you didn't get, this campaign is bringing back some of the stuff from the early campaigns, from the first campaign also too, as well as letting you kind of build out specifically what you want to get. GameFound manages that a little bit better than some other crowdfunding platforms. We're big fans of people using the platform that best supports the type of project they want to run, and we think GameFound is a great one to be doing that on. So super excited to see that y'all hop over on GameFound for this one. Folks should go check it out if they have not yet. The link at the bottom, if it's not working now, should be working in just a second. We were running hot this morning. I also always love whenever I scroll down on a page and just see a quote, and I'm like, oh, that sounds cool, and then I see my name underneath it. That's always a fun. It's always a fun thing too. And so awesome. Well, now that Dan is back with us, we are gonna hop into the game as soon as I can figure out where, because I moved even though I said I'm not going to move everybody around, I did, and now I've got to figure out where Laura is. There we go. All right, here we are. We are back. Sweet, awesome, Dan. Welcome back. You got so excited.
Thank
you broke the internet.
That's what I always do every time.
I'm a T-Rex over at Chances. Every time I watch this channel, I end up back in games. My game-loving heart thanks you. We'll just ignore the protest from my bank account. Look. Like, we should probably start putting caution warnings at the start of our streams that say, caution warning, you may back a game during the course of this stream. But that is what we love to hear. And also, Amanda, am I right? Are we playing a game together in a couple of weeks? If so, tell me in the chat. If you weren't available for that, let me know also too. But I think I heard your name associated with a certain game we might be playing. We are, yay! I'm very excited to have you on. With that said, Dan did retouch on safety tools while you were gone, also too. So I'm going to hand things over to Charlie to take us into Camp Blood. What could go wrong?
Okay, fantastic. Yes, Camp. And I imagine that is the sign swinging in the wind above the camp. Camp Blood. What could go wrong? The perfect summer, and we kind of join our characters as the sun is setting on the last day of Camp Blood. All the children have gone home, and it is now just the camp counselors left, tidying up the last few bits, kind of going around the camp, making sure that everything's kind of ready to close down for the end of summer. So a peaceful calm has settled over the grounds. There's a soft breeze rippling the leaves of Blood Forest. Why Camp Blood has got its specific name? No other reason. And the crackling of the campfire, which you're all surrounded, promises a warm and restful evening, a potential perfect end to a perfect summer. But you all notice, as the gloom kind of draws in, there are dark clouds forming, ever threatening to turn that peaceful breeze into a gale force. Although it's still hard to feel concerned, or kind of quite strange having the absence of the kind of giggling children now they've all kind of left. So there is an eerie kind of still and quietness that is falling over Camp Blood. The fun and frolics and frivolity kind of dying down, everything being a lot more calm and mellow. And Evelyn, the usually on edge head counselor, Cindy Byers, is now leaning back on her log without a care in the world as you all wait for the rest of the counselors to finish up their last kind of elements and arrive. She's kind of absently-mindedly fiddling with a kit-strewn bag kind of on her lap. And she looks around at each of you sat in the circle, just kind of checking in with you all. So if you'd like to take this, so we're all kind of sat in a circle around a campfire on logs, the classic kind of kumbaya scenario. Would you like to introduce your characters for me, please?
Anybody who doesn't know, I don't know Dan's character's name yet. Everybody else knows Dan's character's name. I don't. That said, my character is Beans, Jim Beans Rockmore, the camp cook. I think I have brought mugs of hot cocoa for everybody that I am passing around. Since the counselors have all gone home, this is my special cocoa, and so it's got a little something extra in there. It's just nutmeg, but I just tell everybody it's got a little something extra in there so that they can be excited every single time, but it's always just nutmeg. And so, and I brought all the s'mores gear with me also too. It's some real decadent fare.
Oh yeah.
I am a bit of a gourmand as a character, and so we see Beans is kind of relatively tall and like lithe, like he's not quite scrawny, but definitely like heavy shoulders from a lot of cutting and lifting around the kitchen, but not much more meat on the bone than that. Yeah, that's Jim. That's Beans.
I have one question for Beans, and this is going to be a question I'll ask all of you. Has it been a good summer for Beans?
It's always a good summer for Beans. This is Beans. Theoretically, I don't know. I mean, if there's backstory stuff that I just said, Beans has worked at this camp a long time. His family has GM can take this wherever they want. Deep historical ties. Jim comes from money. 100%, and he works out at the camp kind of ostensibly his family interest, but is a rich kid who doesn't understand how wealthy he is.
Wonderful, excellent. So, Laura, would you like to introduce your character for me next, please?
Yes, absolutely. I am Melissa Missy Kettleweight. And I, you know what? I think as I am accepting the mug of hot cocoa from Beans, I slap a friendship bracelet right on his wrist and tie it real quickly to prove that we are friends until the end. Because I am the arts and crafts counselor, and I have made friendship bracelets for everyone. Because you are all my friends now.
I slide it up alongside the 5 others that have been slapped on my wrist this week by you.
All different colors, all different styles, yeah. Everyone immaculate.
Each representing a different part of our friendship and a different aspect of it.
Yeah, and that is me. She is I don't know, young. I think this is her first summer as a counselor. And she is sitting not on the log itself, but a little bit closer to the fire where it's just a bit more lit up and sort of giving unhappy glances to the encroaching gloom, because nobody likes spending time in the dark. We like it when it's bright and shiny.
And would you say for Missy's first overall kind of experience as a camp counselor, she's had a good summer?
I think she's had a pretty good summer. I think she she's had some scares, she's had some stress, but she's really making the best of it, because isn't that what an arts and crafts counselor does? You take the scraps and you make something beautiful out of them, and I've had a beautiful summer.
Oh Lord.
Which I'm going to say is canonically that "Oh Lord" is within is within the
for sure
around the camp as our camera drifts away from Missy, who's edging closer and closer towards the fire, warming her hands and glaring at the clouds and snapping friendship bracelets left, right, and center. Onto our third and final character. Dan, would you like to introduce your character, please?
Absolutely, wearing just the brightest orange pants. With like a like plain white but just covered in flowers, like floral print blouse style shirt that is absolutely like the top 3 buttons are unbuttoned, with like shoulder length hair and just an impressive mustache. It's Filibuster Vidil. Some people call him Philip, some people call him Buster. As long as no one actually calls him Filibuster, that's fine. But he's been in charge of making sure everyone is being safe and responsible out on the water this summer, handling all the boats and classes with all that and everything. So he's I'm gonna stop saying he's and start saying I'm a bit of a grouch, but like one of those tries to be a lovable curmudgeon. Unsure how actually lovable he is, but very much a like. I don't really want to. I mean, I want to be here, but I don't want to like interact with people. I want to be around the water. I don't want to like be around kids in the water, but I have to in order to be around the water. Type of person. So, he very excitedly takes some hot cocoa, very begrudgingly accepts that friendship bracelet.
A future lighthouse keeper if I ever did see one. But just to clarify
100%.
For everyone watching, because I realised I didn't mention it, if Dan's character description didn't give the game away, this is set in the 1970s. Just so everyone is aware. So the mustache, floral print and stuff is not a modern chic choice. It is very much of the time and the setting that we're playing. So I have one question for Buster. I will not dare call you Filibuster.
Appreciated.
Have you had a good summer?
Yeah, I mean it's been fine except for the snots. Couple of kids just wanting to get out there and do whatever they want and disregard safety rules, but other than that, it's been a good summer.
Fantastic. And kind of like you've imagined like this discussion has been something that you've been having with Cindy Byers, who is the kind of head of camp. And she's kind of been smiling. You've been chatting whilst you're waiting for everyone. But you do notice that she seems distracted. And you see that she looks kind of past you out over the crystal waters of Lake Blood, kind of which forms the central core of the camp, to a dense tree line that's on the opposite shore, to the site where back in the 60s a terrible massacre had occurred that you're all aware of. And there's a wistful look on her face, one that you've come to recognize during your time working for her. You know, it was over there where it happened. The place I warned you never to step foot, just over the bridge in the old forbidden campsite. You know this story. You've heard it every night for about 4 weeks. But tonight, as the skies threaten rain and the darkness becomes more dense than ever before, you feel like this is the first time that you're really listening to it. I was just about your age back then. Had a great summer, we all had, but then came that night, the night he came to camp. And she leans in closer to the fire, it kind of lighting up her face as she kind of looks around to all of you. Lopsy, the rabbit-faced killer. He used to be a camper. Cookie once told me he used to love playing with the animals around the camp and got bullied for it too. He ran away, no one knows why, and got lost in the woods. And the counselors didn't even notice he was gone, too busy having fun, as you all know teenagers do. Babes caring for babes and all that. Years later, when he returned, he had changed. He was no longer a lost and frightened little boy, but a hulking killer. He killed all the counselors, all my friends, slashed them to ribbons. But not me. I stared the killer down and I beat him. I was very nearly the only survivor of that fateful night, if it weren't for Cookie and Schmo. There's only the three of us now. And the legend has it that on a stormy night, such as this, you can reach out to Lopsy's spirit and pull him back from the dead. But those are just stories. And with that, she kind of falls silent and sits back kind of on her log. So the people who she's mentioned there, you know. So Cookie, you would be very familiar with Beans. Cookie is the head cook of the camp and is probably the person you've been actually assisting all of this time. Schmo is someone you've probably all had run-ins with. He is the infamously grouchy and slightly oddball groundskeeper, who kind of maintains all the buildings, kind of keeps the wild grasses at bay, and is quite wary of the kids and counselors, and generally is seen muttering to himself around the camp. As she kind of leans back, the wind picks up and the fire flickers. And I'd like you all to roll a wit check for me.
All right, and since this is our first roll, for people who aren't familiar with Shiver, let's talk about how rolls get built or get made in the game. Oh man, why did my thing disappear? All right, well it's gonna be fine. We have a dice. There's a dice roller app you can use, or there are physical dice we can use, but they're all based on whatever our points in that archetype are. I've got Beans is here on the screen in just a second for people to be able to see. My wit is 3, so I would normally roll a dice pool of 3 dice, correct?
Yes, so you'd roll 3 d6s. So there are core skill die.
Yeah, because I don't have a talent in this area specifically. So I'm just gonna hit the dice roller and it's gonna tell me what I got. This is wit. Man, nope. I got a bunch of smarts. I got 0 across the board for wit. So we'd be looking for the matching symbol here, but what's on these might tell me something else my character notices, because dice are always going to move the story forward a little bit in Shiver, no matter what.
So did you say you rolled a load of smarts?
I rolled 2 smarts, yes, but 0 wits, so we can see what everybody else rolled and come back if that matters.
I rolled 0 wit and 2 grit and a luck, so
you could bank that luck.
Banking that.
Bank that luck and flex.
Improbably, even though wit is my weakest attribute, I got 1 success.
Fantastic. So you're kind of all listening to this story, and Missy, as Cindy's finishing up this story, you catch something out of the corner of your eye. You've been nervously looking over to the other side of the lake, and you see there is a flicker, a soft glow of firelight. And you know that those cabins are out of bounds and have been sealed off. Nobody should be over there.
Yeah, I'm gonna point that out to everybody, I think.
Because we're all friends here.
Guys, did anybody see that?
Cindy's head snaps over and she like stands up straight, like a bolt. Is this kind of their eyes wide, almost like a rabbit in the headlights, just kind of looking at this, and she just goes, "Oh no! Just it's probably just somebody messing around.
Maybe Schmo's over there, just locking it down for end of season."
Maybe. I mean, potentially, who's near there? And she kind of gets out a clipboard and starts having a look through. It could be Cliff and Diane. They've been seeing one another. That's no mystery.
God.
I tell you what, would you all do me a favor? I know we're waiting for everyone else to kind of get back to the camp, but could you just go over and check here? And she kind of picks up this kind of big kind of like sports kit bag that she's kind of been fiddling around with at her feet, and she's it's like, yeah, I've just got a few supplies here that I was going to take back to my cabin, but like, yeah, here. And she hands it to you. So these are the elements that I've kind of sent in the chat previously, for you to feel free to distribute this large torch, flip lighter, medkit, and trail mix amongst yourselves.
I always forget that when I read Big Torch in Shiver, that y'all are talking about a flashlight, and not a literal big flaming torch. It makes a whole lot more sense now. And so,
so kind of like one of those big silver metallic flashlights is kind of what she pulls out. But she says, just in case, just humor the nervous old lady, and she kind of reaches down behind a log and she pulls out a giant machete that you see has been like customized. She's kind of wrapped like some of the kind of craft twine around the handle, and you see there are camp badges kind of hanging off the end of it. It's like, this trusty old thing is what I managed to end old Lopsy with. Now, I just want to make sure that, you know, you're safe. You've got something just in case it's, you know, even if it's someone just messing around, and you can kind of scare them off if it's, you know, somebody trying to camp there. So please take this. So with this item, we're going to demonstrate a little bit of some of the new mechanics of Shiver Slasher. So this item is acting as an inherited item. As we are returning to Camp Blood, if we imagine that Camp Blood 1 has already happened and Cindy is our survivor, she has decided to pass the torch, as it were, or in this case, the machete, onto one of you. So this item, whoever accepts this gift and becomes her descendant, as it were, will get the mark of inherited. So you'll become her descendant, and you will get a minor advantage whenever you make an attack with this weapon.
Look,
I'm
not going to say that it needs to be this person, but with that handle description, I feel like
I
this
was
is
just
screaming
thinking,
out.
I really want to grab it and start complimenting the twine work on the end.
Yes, for sure.
Like, it's not even this machete, it's just the handle work that you're just interacting with.
These badges are so well attached. Oh my goodness. Well done.
Oh, well, thank you, Missy. Well, I hope it serves you well. And she hands it over to you, so you can add that to one of your weapon slots on your character sheet. But yeah, she looks at her kind of watch and goes, "Okay, I'll grab up some few things. It looks like potentially our campfire ghost stories isn't gonna roll on tonight. Looks like a storm's rolling in. I'm gonna head back to the main camp complex, and I'll see you back there. I'll be on the radio if you need me." And she'll kind of stand up and start heading back. So your way to the kind of camp, or the abandoned camp, is wide and open, but the clouds are definitely darkening.
Cool. I don't know that it specifically matters if we need to divvy this up right now, but I 100% have my eyes on that trail mix, because I think I can improve on that base recipe. And that map, because I'm happy to figure out where we're going, but I do not want to be in the lead.
The flashlight's jumping out at me. The big torch for sure. Not keen to play with a lighter.
It wouldn't be proper fire safety to play with a lighter. So.
Well, I will happily take the lighter, just so I have something bright in the dark corners. So I can have a lighter in one hand and a machete in the other.
Perfect. Fantastic. So are we all tooled up and ready to go?
Yeah.
Are you ready to start making your way? Okay. So you begin kind of like going around kind of through the woods out to the bridge, which will bring you over into the cabins. You'll kind of like walk through the rest of like the camp that's actually mainly populated in order to do this, and you notice it is kind of eerily still and quiet. Only the sound of wind and soft rain keeping you company. You're not hearing any laughing of any other kind of carefree counselors, like kind of finishing up their last chores for the summer. It's all rather spookily silent as you make your way and find yourself at a bridge. So the old camp cabins are on the other side of this bridge, and you see the wind kind of whips up and nearly kind of makes you lose your footing as you put your first foot on this. And it says, "Forbidden, danger, do not trespass, beware," like all over kind of this thing. So you're going to have to hop over and make your way across this rickety rope bridge over to the old cabins across Lake Blood. So as you make your way across the lake, is there anything that you will talk about? It's your final day of camp. Is there kind of anything that's happened that you kind of want to talk about? Anything you want to, or kind of like how you feel about Cindy's story and her as a kind of camp leader? Like, how has she been?
I'm concerned that we're about to walk in on Cliff and Diane knocking boots, and that's going to be awkward for all of us. And I don't I'm not sure this is a great plan.
Can we also talk about Cliff and Diane a little bit? Like, does it seem like a mismatched couple to you?
Oh, that's a terrible idea. It's gonna end very, very badly.
I mean,
really? I thought there was some romance there. They're like from different worlds.
Right. There's romance there right now. There's that whole like, oh, this is forbidden thing. But as soon as they like become a normal thing and it's no longer taboo, the fire's gonna go out and there's just not gonna be anything and it's gonna turn ugly. Cliff's probably gonna get bored, start screwing around on Diane. Diane's gonna get mad. And I think things are gonna get broken.
Yeah, I mean, camp relationships work at camp. They don't work outside. Like, camp is kind of a magical space. Like, what happens here, it just kind of works, right? Whether it's desperation, whether it's the romance of the woods, whether it's just, just being around each other, and you're either going to fight or you're going to, screw. I don't know what it is, but it happens every summer. Sometimes those relationships go on to be something, but most of the time they just kind of end in tragedy. And, here's hoping for them, but I don't think it's going to work.
But,
and as you say,
but
end
the
in
friendships
tragedy.
we make at camp last forever, right?
Sure.
Yes.
Sure,
Yeah.
And with this, you've crossed the bridge and kind of having this conversation as you kind of make your way, and you push through some of the kind of overgrown undergrowth into kind of a bit of a clearing where you find the remnants of the old side of camp. You kind of following this flickering light as your guiding light, you found the old cabin. So it's 4 original bunkhouses, but only one of them is left standing. Although it's admittedly on shaky foundations. You can see the light source that was flickering on the other side of the lake. It's shining through the cracks in the wood beams and the doors. You see that the rubble of the other cabins appear to have been undisturbed, bar a few charred marks on rotting wood beams. Some townies like to come here, make their own bonfires, and drink cheap local beer. You notice there is a shrill, strange noise coming from one of the piles of rubble, if you would like to investigate.
I'm too busy yelling, I hope we don't find anybody out here to notice the noise. But if anybody else wants to investigate it, I love that.
I'm going to shine the torch over there and walk over in that direction.
Okay. Could you roll a grit check for me to move some of this rubble aside and see what you can discover as you're kind of shining your torch over?
Absolutely. That's going to be 3 successes.
Oh boy. So shuffling some of the latest layers of ash and debris aside, you find the source of the sound. It's a portable cassette player. Someone's written on the back CB. You realize that this is Cliff's. He's the assistant lead counselor. And pretty much confirming your suspicions of who's potentially out here. So you have acquired the item, the Stroll Guy cassette player, which I will pop in the chat in a moment. You wonder as you shuffle aside the rocks and tritus a bit further, you find a broken arrow in the wreckage. It's clearly been handmade, but not during any of your crafting lessons, and definitely doesn't look like one of the main kind of bright red, slightly plasticky arrows that you use in camp. And finally, shifting stuff aside even more, you find a surprisingly light, sturdy and intact wooden beam, which is potentially something to whack Cliff with if he's pulling a joke on you. So you can take that as a weapon as well. So just let me grab those for you now, and I will put them in the chat so they are accessible. Let's just grab them quickly. Oh, thank you for the loading music. whilst I grab some bits. So yeah, so nice big old wooden beam, which is just a nice old whacking tool. And then we have got the Stroll Guy cassette player. I'll put in there as well. A pinnacle of 70s design, which is You can listen to some soothing tunes and reduce your fear using the Stroll Guide cassette player. So use it wisely is what I would say. Right. So with that, you don't find anything else amongst the rubble, but you kind of turn back to the others, and you're quite convinced that Cliff, if he's not here, has definitely been here relatively recently.
All right, look, I found Cliff's Stroll Guy. There's a wooden beam over here if anyone wants that. I'm fairly certain we're gonna walk in on Cliff and Diane. So we should proceed with caution, probably, because gross.
Yeah, maybe like hit that Stroll Guy. Like it's probably a mixtape for him and Diane. Maybe if he hears the music, it'll maybe it'll snap him out of it.
I mean, it really just runs through headphones.
But turn it all the way up, just light mood music.
I don't want to listen to Cliff's banging soundtrack.
Come on, it's like Cliff's one good skill is DJing the end of camp dance party, and so.
Listen, this thing can only be used 2 times before it's used up. I'm gonna hold off on press and play.
Oh, low battery. All right, I got it. I got you. I'll grab the wooden beam just for fun, and I'll go up and bang on the door to the standing off the small porch, bang on the door of the cabin with the light in it, with the wooden beam.
So are you banging quite hard on the door with the wooden beam?
I'm banging loudly. I don't expect to open the door.
Okay, so you kind of bang on the door with a beam, and you realize it's not locked as the door kind of opens just a kind of few inches from the pressure of your kind of impact.
Yo, Cliff. Diane?
Pants check.
You don't hear any response from inside at all.
Just for fun, I'll yell, Loxy, is that you?
Okay, roll a strange check for me.
Oh no, what are you doing?
Let's talk about strange because it has a specific role in the context of the game, because we did talk about what our roles were earlier, but whenever we roll strange, additionally, it's a thing we can check, but it also does something anytime we roll the dice and the strange symbol comes up. Is that correct, Charlie?
So usually it's if you roll a check and you fail and there's strange there, it'll tick up the doom clock, or if you use strange abilities, it ticks the doom clock. In this case, because you're invoking the name of our dead slasher from the previous movie, I'm going to get you to roll some strange, and I'm going to add that to the doom clock, because he who should not be named has been named.
Cool. Well, I failed on my roll. I did get 2 luck, which is good for me, but not for this roll particularly.
Okay, so you feel kind of a chill kind of up your spine as the kind of wind kind of whips up around you and begins to kind of whistle through the trees. But because you didn't roll a ton of strange, I'm only going to add 1 to the doom clock for that, as you feel almost like saying Lopsy's name is something like this woods remembers. It's something it's kind of is, the ground is stained with the blood of kind of what happened here, and potentially saying his name might not be the best of ideas. You feel might not be the luckiest move. So yeah, but with the kind of, that's the only response you get for saying Lopsy. You don't hear anyone else replying.
I turn around and stand in front of the backlit doorway and just say, "There's nobody here."
All right. Well, Do we want to go? Do you want to go like in?
I mean, sure. Like I said, there's no one here, and I stroll into the cabin.
Okay. So you just walk casually into the cabin?
Yeah.
Okay. Make a CR2 wit check for me, please.
All right. I don't have any sort of bonuses to wit, but I do now because I am playing the fool archetype. I can bank more luck than everybody else. I have 2 luck points in the bank because I rolled them on my last one, and so everybody can see what that skill looks like. We're gonna add those to the roll this time around, and we're gonna make a wit check. So I'm gonna be rolling 5 dice. Well, here's the great news. I got 0 wit. I got 2 luck back. I also got 2 strange.
No, boy.
Wait, so no successes, but 2
0
strange.
successes, 2 strange.
Okay, so that's 2 minutes on the Doom clock. Okay, so the door flies open as you kind of casually kind of move in, and your foot goes straight into a glinting metal object precariously placed into the front door, and it snaps shut onto your foot. It is a rusty old bear trap. It probably could have been much worse if it was something that was a little bit more well kept. But it's not a great way to welcome people at your door.
I do have something to tell you though. My character is a fool, and I took the blessed fool path. I stumble out of the way of incoming danger. You make tests to avoid traps or environmental hazards. I can roll my luck pool instead of my wit pool.
Okay, let's roll that again then.
Okay,
fantastic.
Excellent, and I'll start being better about queuing up when it's wits, whether or not I'm avoiding incoming danger, because it'll be a good thing to ask. So yeah, this is a special ability for my character because the fool starts out with very high luck. So I had added the two pieces, which we're going to go ahead and do again anyways, even though it's luck, and I may not need it because I'm just going to roll 7 dice and see what happens. That is 3 successes because I got a success on my talent dice. It is 2 luck, so plus the talent dice, but it also is still the 2 strange that it was before. So our doom clock is still equally accounted for, but it is a success this time instead. So I guess that it does not. But yeah, 3 successes, 2 strange.
So what happens with that sheer amount of luck? You step into the cabin, and something in your front pocket. I'm going to say you're a chef. Maybe you've got like some loose bits of cutlery or little bits that you've been kind of keeping on your person.
I'm wearing the apron. I've got some of my basic kit on me. No, not like big knives or anything strapped down, but like definitely little bits and bobs.
You make your entrance, and as you do, a fork tumbles loose from your apron, and it lands directly in the bear trap, and it snaps shut before you can put just as your other foot was stepping in to land directly in it. So your cutlery has saved your bacon once more.
Good old Forky as I retrieve both halves that have been snapped in 2 from the ground. Hey, y'all, watch out! There's bear traps in here.
What?
Okay, you said that way too casually.
Well, I mean, we're not supposed to be over here for a reason, right? Like,
yeah, but the reason's not bear traps. It's
shouldn't
be those.
Have you ever heard that? Has anybody explicitly said the reason you don't go over there is bear traps?
No.
Have they ever said it's not though? Which is what I actually meant to say instead of the way I said it.
So I think you'd all know that a bear trap being there is quite odd. Like there's lots of signs, things to kind of like put up to kind of ward people off. But the camp would never set up bear traps, just on the off chance that a curious or rambunctious kid would run over and put their foot in a bear trap. So it's definitely been set up by someone else or someone who knows they shouldn't be doing that. Usually.
Hold on a second, and I look around for more bear traps.
Okay. You have a look around, and you see not bear traps in the rest of the cabin, but you do see further evidence of recent life. The decaying bunk beds have been moved into a circle in the center of the room, and the rotting bed sheets kind of hang from the ceiling blocking the far wall. This kind of area has kind of a lot of rot kicking about. So some of the beams are rotting. You see kind of weevils and centipedes weaving their way kind of in and out. And as you look around, as your fear beans is the rot, I would like you to make a fear check for me.
All right, so let's talk about how fear checks work. Walk us through it.
Okay, so the way that fear checks work is they roll off of strange. The more kind of over the line into the weird and the unknown that you are, the less likely you are to be scared. So you roll a strange check, and it will have a varied challenge rating depending on how scary the thing is.
Good thing I used all my luck points when I didn't need to.
Yeah.
No.
You got that pro strat going on.
Yeah, I got that pro strategy. Use my luck points to roll 7 dice instead of waiting until I needed them on the next one. Yeah, because my character's fear is the rot, so we're gonna make a roll. That's a 0 successes, lots of grit, 1 luck point, which I will bank. And we will we'll find out what happens when somebody fails that check.
Fantastic. So now that Beans has failed a check, Beans is afraid. So when characters are afraid in Shiver, you minus 1 core skill point from every skill area to a minimum of 1. Whilst afraid, if Beans were to, say, trip and fall in a pile of rotting goo, it might happen. They'd probably have to make another fear check again. If they failed that check, they become terrified, and then they would minus 2 core skill points to a minimum of 1. So, like in horror movies, when you're trying to put those keys kind of in the ignition to drive away and get away, or like load the bullets into your gun so you can shoot the monster, if you're afraid, that makes things much, much harder. And sometimes it's better to run away and calm yourself down before approaching anything too taxing.
This is, the bear trap is fine, but this place does not look like the beams are old. They're like, look at this piece of wood that we found out there. Maybe somebody else should check it out. He says as he shimmies to the
maybe
side.
You should check it out.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not the one with the weird machete, but okay. All right, I'll do it.
It's not a weird machete. It's a very well made machete.
Right, and that's weird.
So are you going further in to have a look, Buster?
I am indeed.
Okay, so you begin circling around these rearranged bunk beds. It almost looks a bit like a kid's fort. In terms of, the bed sheets hung, the kind of bunk beds kind of pushed wall to wall. You see that they definitely were moved recently. The dust hasn't settled from where they were dragged from. And some of the sheets are newer. They bear the new Camp Blood logo as opposed to the old sheets, the rotting ones, which bear the old one. So someone definitely has moved some stuff around, brought some stuff out. And you start to hear a kind of strange kind of wittering noise from the middle of this kind of bunk bed fort as you get closer.
Yeah, I'm gonna step forward and is gonna yell out. I mean, I'm not even gonna yell anything specific. I'm just gonna go, nah. See if there's any response.
Okay. You hear a slightly distorted voice from inside the kind of shrouded fort say, Cliff. And then it kind of fades away again and sounds a bit odd.
No, this isn't Cliff.
You hear a Cliff, respond.
Oh, it's the flippin' radio. I'm gonna kick down one of the beds.
Yeah. So you kind of kick one of the beds aside, it falls away, and you see there is a two-way radio kind of in the center, but they're kind of this like kind of little den of like sheets and things that's kind of in the middle is completely empty apart from this radio, and you hear a voice from it being broken up by static, going Cliff, head councillor Byers, please respond. This is and the rattling, you kind of hear this rattling sound start to come from behind you from one of the lockers, but it seems to be accompanied by a muffled crying that is not staticky.
Oh boy. I'm going to grab the radio and respond and say, "This is Philip. We're still looking for Cliff." And then walk over to the rattling sound.
Okay, just keep going. I can see from the fire tower the storm's working up a real head of steam out here. Be careful. The damn wind's making demons out of the shadows tonight. Find Cliff and Diane. They won't have gone far, and I'll keep an eye out up here before I head back to camp.
Great. Over, I guess.
As soon as he's done, I just look and say, "Is it a little weird that we just didn't get a radio at the start of this?" Like,
yeah, you'd think
like,
you'd think she would have given us one, but I don't know. This is probably only like 4. So
and only 3 of them work, and only 2 of them well.
She's got one. This is the other good one.
The other one
All
has
right.
to be plugged in. Can you tell I've spent time at camp?
I love it. So yeah, walking over to this rattling sound. This rattling and maybe crying.
As you get closer, it sounds like a person crying. And you see there's kind of like one of those classic kind of metal, like tall lockers in front of you, where it seems to be coming from.
Cliff, did you step in the bear trap? And I'm going to open up the locker.
Okay. So as you open up the locker, a young woman falls out of the locker. There's blood stains on the back of her head from a nasty wound, and it runs down all the way to her camp blood issued shirt. It's Diane, one of the arts and craft counselors who you know, Laura. She's still alive, but she's extremely shaken and terrified. And she'll be kind of look up and she'll be, wait, where is Cliff? Have you seen Cliff? Oh God, thank God you're here. Oh God.
Haven't seen Cliff. What happened to you?
We snuck out here to fool around before we went off to our homes for the summer, and
more information than I needed in that regard.
Okay. Skipping forwards, fast forward. We thought we heard something outside. Like Cliff went outside to like try and figure out, and I just. And then something hit me in the back of the head, and I heard a weird sound, like a twang. I don't know, and I woke up in the locker.
You woke up. Hold on. So someone stuffed you in this locker.
Also, sounds like someone knocked you out.
Also, you're bleeding.
All right, there's a lot.
We need to get her back to the main cabins. We need to get her to medical.
There's a lot to unpack going on here.
All right, Diane, are you able to walk?
Yeah, I think so. As she kind of like shakily makes her makes her way to her feet, and then you hear the radio goes off again, and you hear Cindy and she goes, guys, I just spotted someone moving around the cabin. They're looking in through the windows. Can you see them?
Great question.
I turn and look at the window.
Do we see them?
Would you like to make a wit check to see if you can see them?
I don't know if I would.
I got 1 success and 1 strange.
I got 0 successes and 1 strange. You're welcome.
And I got to switch back over to that place. Da, 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 da. Man, I'm banking luck left and right, but I got 0 successes and 0 strange.
Okay, so with kind of the 0 successes, you're looking around, and these windows are grimy. The kind of like soot and stuff from little fires and things that people have been having in here are really obstructing vision. So you're looking around desperately trying to see if someone's there. Buster, with a success, you do notice something. You begin moving towards one. There's like a little streak that's clear, and you kind of lean up towards it to see what's moving out there. But with some strange, I'm going to take up the Doom clock because more Doom is more fun. You suddenly see something kind of jumping out of the shadows towards you, and a giant smash kind of hits, and you manage to just get out of the way as the window shatters inwards as something is hurled through it, shattering the plane and knocking the lantern onto the floor, killing the light. And with that, Laura, now we're in dark. I'd like you to make a fear check for me, please.
Oh, yes. Okay. That is with strange, right?
Yes, indeed.
That is 1 success.
Okay, so that's just enough. As you kind of like desperately kind of feel around, and then you find your hand on the kind of cool metal of the lighter and click it on, and all of a sudden your fear kind of washes away. You do have a source of light. However, with a source of light as dim as it is, it does highlight what actually came from the window. It wasn't something, unfortunately, it was sub-1. You see Councillor Cliff's body lying crumpled on the floor, blood already pooling around it, shards of glass marking the corpse, but the cause of death seems to be his missing lower half of his body. He's been chopped in half by the waist, so you're only getting the top parts, unfortunately. Yes. So
how does Diana react to this is what I want to know first.
She just eyes go wide, draws up, and she does put hands to her face and then just screams like so loudly that it's kind of just ringing in your ears, almost loud enough that you nearly don't hear the radio being like, "Oh God, get to the dining hall, run, get to Cookie's Jeep, grab the radio," as you hear as and then the radio signal goes dead.
Excellent.
Great.
Well, I'm grabbing Diana and running to the door.
Yeah.
Let's.
So Laura, you
Yes.
so Missy grabs her hand, pulling Diane towards the door, and you hear a whizzing sound of like that, and you feel Diane's hand give resistance, as if she slightly stopped moving. And as you turn around, you see that a arrow has gone straight through her larynx, and she drops to her knees, whispering, "Run!" as just blood pours out as she just flops to the floor.
Well, if it's her dying wish, I will run.
I'm gonna as we run, I'm gonna grab the what is it,
The radio,
the walk no it's not it's a
Stroll guy.
Stroll guy.
I was like, what's the off-brand name? I'm gonna grab the stroll guy and pop that over my ears, if that's all right with Phil. And while we're doing a diegetic insert on the music as we start to run, I do need to know what 70s pop icon music comes over the headphones that calms me down, but also when this movie releases in the 2020s, we'll also rocket that to #1 again.
Right.
In classic Kate Bush style. So chat, please tell us what song I'm listening to as we start to run through the woods.
Fantastic.
And I need to make a heart check to see if that works correct to calm me down?
Yes. So roll a hearts check with minor advantage as your favorite 1970s cheerful tune pops on.
Yeah. Let's see. Chad is desperately looking for what is the perfect song to release at this moment. We'll figure it out in a second. We can keep on running.
Fantastic. How about you, Buster? Is there anything else you'd like to do before leaving the cabin?
I mean, I want to make a quip about saying that their relationship had no legs, but I feel like the moment's already passed.
So you look down at the bodies, like kind of considering this quip, and then realizing maybe that might not be in the best of taste right now, and also like it wouldn't feel quick enough. But I'm gonna say, because of your success earlier, you do notice one particular thing: the arrow in Diane's neck is very different from the odd one you found outside. So the arrow outside you realized was a kind of very handmade, weird looking arrow, whilst this one looks like it's from the camp stock, from the archery range.
Interesting. I'm going to, if possible, I'd like to swoop down and grab that arrow and then run out the door with it.
Okay, fantastic. So you kind of reach down and with a yank, pull it out. Diane at this point is already dead. And you now have, I'm going to say you can use it as a weapon. So you've got one arrow. It'll do 1 pierce damage, and you can just stab someone with it if they come too near to you. So we are now going to go into a chase sequence. So Chasers and Shiver, I will just throw out thematic moments for you to overcome and roll checks. If they go badly, bad stuff will happen. If they go well, you'll escape with your lives, hopefully. So, right, you swear, Missy, that the trees are moving and something is moving through them with such ease, it's terrifying. An arrow flies through the air and it strikes you in the arm and causes you to smash into a tree and fall. What I want you to do, you're going to take 1 piercing damage, but I want you to roll a luck check for me to see if you're going to start bleeding.
Okay. That is 2 successes.
Okay, fantastic. You kind of snap the arrow, but don't pull it out. You've been trained well, so you're not bleeding, but you only take that kind of 1 damage, as it's not gone too deep. Okay, so Beans, you're running. Did anyone take the radio, by the way? Just so I can clarify. Did anyone?
I think
grab
Beans
that?
grabbed it.
Did Beans grab it?
Oh,
okay,
I have this. I have the stroll boy. I think you have the radio now.
Then yeah, I've got.
You've done a swap here. Okay, just so I know who's got it. Okay, so Beans, headphones on. Appropriate 1970s needle drop and play.
So here's the thing. As we see Beans screw up, we have our choice of 3 songs. Dan recommended the one I actually like the best in the chat. But I will say we can either do Waterloo by ABBA, Go Your Own Way by Fleetwood Mac, or Blitzkrieg Bop. I will say Go Your Own Way as we all scatter out of this cabin in mildly different directions feels very good as a concept. How do we feel about that?
Fantastic.
So Fleetwood Mac, get ready after this stream to pop back that song, pop back up to #1. We got that Stranger Things effect here on +1 EXP. So Go Your Own Way.
Go Your Own Way blaring in your ears.
And the background music for all these scenes. Tell me what happens.
Yeah, you look back over your shoulder and you see silhouetted against the now moonlit sky, piercing through the storm clouds, the dark shape of multiple arrows, a volley flying down towards you. I'd like you to roll a wit check for me, please.
Cool. Would we say this is to? Would we say that my luck ability would come into play here? Excellent.
I think so, because it's a chase and it's kind of a rain of arrows. I'm gonna say yeah. Kind of just pure chance to dodge raining arrows.
Here we go. 2 successes.
Okay, fantastic. That's enough. So you somehow almost running perfectly on beat to go your own way. Your steps just as arrows just thud into the ground on beat. It's kind of almost enjoyable if it wasn't so deadly. But you managed to get out kind of unscathed, and you can now see the edge of the bridge kind of in sight. Buster, that's going to bring us to you. You're sprinting kind of like through the trees. you're trying to kind of like find your footing. It is quite tricky. It's now the rain is starting to kind of come down quite heavily. It's getting slippy. So I'd like you to roll a wit check for me as well.
All right. That's big old 0 successes, 2 strange. And because I took the jock background, that gives me the flaw of cocky. So when you take the doom clock forward from a failed skill check, you tick it forward an additional 1 minute for each strange symbol rolled. So that's great. That's fun.
So we're going to say that this is what happens. Is that you begin to slip, you begin to slide, and you feel your ankle snag on something, and you look down and realize it's a tripwire. As a giant spiked log swings towards you out of nowhere. So you're going to take 1 blunt damage, but you're also going to take 1 sharp damage, and I'd like to roll a luck check to see if you start bleeding.
All right. That's going to be 1 success and 2 strange.
Okay, so with one success, that's just enough that it has just narrowly missed a major artery. But you've kind of find yourself kind of pinpricked with all of these different spikes from this kind of gnarly looking trap. And our final kind of moment of our chase, one that I would like you all to roll for me. I'd like you all to roll a luck check for me. As running out of the woods, finally you feel the rain on your faces, the gale force winds nearly wiping off your feet. You're running over the bridge, and you can only really see a few feet ahead of you now in the dark in these adverse conditions. And you risk a brief glance back, and just as you cross the bridge, a lightning strike lands in the space between you and your pursuer. So yes, where did we lie with our luck checks?
1 success.
Okay. 2 success?
0 successes, 1 strange.
Okay. So, unfortunately, Missy, the other two have pulled ahead and they've just got over the bridge. Lightning strike. You turn back and risk a look, and you see a lightning strike on the other side of the bridge, and you see a silhouetted figure, large rabbit ears, kind of dark against the sky, and you kind of stagger backwards as a second lightning strike lands right in front of your feet and blasts you backwards. And you're going to take 2 shock damage for me, please.
Oh, ouchie.
So, static is filling your ears, all of you, as you're kind of looking at the remnants of this like sudden explosion. And lying on your back, you kind of see the bridge in flames, but walking out of the fog that has now kind of laid across the camp, you see a shape, a silhouette in the firelight, a hulking figure with pointed rabbit ears. It's walking towards you with absolutely no haste or urgency in its step. It looks like it is some form of inevitability. So, clambering back to your feet, you can carry on to run, and you're going to find yourselves back at camp, heading towards the cook hall, the kind of main hall where Cindy had kind of directed you to go.
I'm gonna help. I'm gonna help Missy, having just been, lightning blast, make their way there.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So you pick up Missy and you kind of begin like hobbling together. You've been kind of struck by lightning from the front, Missy, and you've got an arrow in your shoulder. It's already looking pretty rough as you kind of round the corner. Your kind of silent pursuer still slowly walking after you, and you find yourself at Camp Blood's main lodge. Home to the dining hall and kitchen. My brain just did a little.
It's how British you are. It's fine. It's good. You're
Lodge.
good.
Lodge. It's the biggest building in Camp Blood. Cookies, peanut butter, and jelly sandwiches have been a source of comfort for anyone at camp, and they all come out of this building. No matter their age, everyone loves them. It's generally the liveliest place in the campground, but now the tables are empty, the lights are off, the air vents are quiet, and there is just a room with damp humidity. Someone, you realize as you kind of come in, has killed the electricity for the camp. camp, and you've bashed open the door and find yourself inside this big dining hall. So you've got what we've got is like kind of like a big classic dining hall, series of various kind of chairs. You've got big double doors that lead to the kitchen and like the main canteen, like serving station, as well as big kind of air vents running over the top. What would you like to do? And I will say, the killer is coming, so time is precious.
Well, I am a big nerd, so I can build a barricade.
Fantastic. Right, roll that barricade check for me, please. That is fantastic.
All right, this is my as a scholar of the engineer path, I have the ability to roll a smarts check to build a barricade, and I'm smart. So that is 2 successes.
Nice.
Which gives me a barricade with 8 health. 10 health and a CR of 1 on the front door. And because I am the one building it, it is also a very cute barricade. So,
like you flip a flag down over the front of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's tables and chairs, but it's also a little bit of macrame and a little bit of, colored marker to make it safer.
And it's a good job that you did, as soon as you slide the final kind of table in place and arrange the last piece of macrame into the smiley face on top of it, you hear a resounding bang kind of slam against the door as it heaves against your barricade, holding firm for now, but the immense amount of force that's hitting the door is quite something. So you've gone a limited amount of time before you feel that's going to hold, like it is going to get through eventually.
Okay, I know I said it jokingly earlier, but did that look like Loxy to y'all?
The bunny killer?
Yeah,
kind of.
I mean, a little bit, yeah.
I mean, when the lightning flashed, okay, here's the deal. Do you think this is just is Chrissy playing a joke on us?
Diane's dead, Beans.
Well, okay, but it was dark.
Cliff was cut in half.
But did any of us check the body? This is my thing. Chrissy had all summer. It's dark. Do we actually think this was happening? What's more likely? That Chrissy's playing a joke on us, or that there's a rabbit-faced killer?
I think a copycat style murderer who wants to just be look around us, man. Think about the things that are going on in the world right now.
Okay, but we haven't seen anybody else. I'm just saying where's the rest of the staff? There's the bodies to pull this off if she just wanted to prank us.
I think, and I know how this sounds coming from me, but I think you're being very callous right now.
It's just a theory. I'm just saying.
And as you say, it's just a theory. You notice 2 things. You're kind of looking around. You notice there's a light on in the kitchen, and a giant gloved hand smashes through the door and begins flailing around, trying to disassemble the barricade.
Oh, look, it's our prankster. Why don't you go tell him you figured it out?
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Let's not take it off the table yet. I'm gonna make a run for the kitchen where the light is.
Okay. You slam against the double doors and you find that they are locked.
Oh, here's the deal. Cookie doesn't want to get up for breakfast shift. That's my job. Yeah. I've got to have the key to the kitchen.
I tell you what. Roll a luck check for me. See if you've got the key.
That is 2 successes to have the key. Also a lot of grit and some wit, but 2 successes on my talent die, actually.
Fantastic. So yeah, with that, you push against the door once, twice, and then you kind of do, oh wait, I'm the assistant chef. I have the key. And you reach into your pocket, open, and you unlock the door, and the door swings open. So the barricade is getting shifted more and more kind of back now. what would you like to do? Are you all kind of rushing into the kitchen? Beans, that you can lock the door from the other side with this key.
Yeah. All right, everybody, come on. If you don't think it's a joke, let's get going.
I get going.
Yeah, I'm out of there.
Fantastic. So you all rush into the kitchen. You kind of close doors, lock it, and you hear the barricade just as you do smash, and the kind of heavy footfalls of somebody walk kind of in to the dining hall. If you would like to risk a peek, you may.
I mean, because I think it's kind of a joke, I'm going to risk a peek.
Amazing.
Okay, so
this is really Beans trying to process trauma, y'all. Don't pick on me.
So you kind of sneak up to like kind of one of the like latticed kind of wire framed windows and peer through, and you see a figure mostly in shadow but wearing heavy boots with a bow over their shoulder and a heavy fire axe in their hands. You can feel almost like a evil presence radiating off of this thing, like an aura of evil intent. And you see it is clad in what I would kind of best describe as old survivalist gear, but that's extremely like worn and torn and wear down. Something that you'd find of like kind of someone who owns a survivalist compound, possibly. But not an inch of their skin is visible in this kind of big, heavy, like puffy armor. And their face is obscured by a big kind of white rabbit mask that covers their entire head with kind of a hood kind of tucked up that with their kind of ears, one bent slightly by the wind, and they are looking around, but they do not seem to see you, but you can hear their ragged breathing as the wind howls outside.
Okay. Is there a back way out of the kitchen? Like a delivery door?
So you think that there is, you remember there being one, but that's one that you don't have a key to. You now remember that it's actually Cookie who has that key on her keychain. Okay. And as you look around, you hear something from the kitchen. It sounds like a crying and someone whispering "help me" over by what appears to be the freezer, and you notice that the light that's on appears to be one of the gas ovens.
I'll let somebody else spotlight go check what's happening.
Missy, you want to take it?
Sure. I've got the machete. I'll be brave, girl.
So are you heading to the oven or towards the freezer?
I'm gonna head towards the freezer.
Okay. You head towards the freezer. And it's like kind of one of these big like walk-in freezers with big heavy door. And as you kind of pull against it, it clangs. And you hear someone kind of whimper inside as you kind of see a chain has been kind of put on the door. And there's a big padlock on there.
I've got a machete. How big a chain is it?
A pretty thick iron chain. You can give it a go, but it will be very difficult, is what I will say.
Okay.
Look, if horror movies have taught me anything, it's that it doesn't matter how thick the chain is. It matters how much the plot is going to support what you want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I don't know if I'll succeed, but I'm gonna give it a go.
Okay, fantastic. Roll a grit check for me to swing your machete, tried and true.
That is 0 successes and 1 strange. So, but I do get to bank a luck, so that's something.
Okay, so that brings us, by my count, to 10 on the Doom clock. We're approaching our first Doom event. We're getting there. So, you kind of clang on there, and you hear a kind of scream from inside of just being like, "Oh no! Don't kill me! Don't kill me! Please don't kill me!"
No, I'm trying to unlock it. You don't happen to know the combination in there, do you?
No. Cookie would have the key, and you recognize it's the voice of Marcy, who's one of the activities counselors, who's locked inside. When things started to go, I'm assuming you've met it already.
Yeah. It got Cliff and Diane.
Oh God. Well, Cookie thought the best place to try and keep me safe would she locked me in here. There's no way it was going to get through. We felt. It might have been a bad decision now because I can't get out. But Cookie has the key. But is she out there? She was out there last time I checked.
She's not out here. Did she say she was going anywhere?
No. I mean, I heard some shuffling about out there, but I don't know. I don't know what happened. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of fainted from the panic of it all for a little bit there. So but yeah, no. She said she was gonna stay right there.
We're gonna find her. We're gonna get you out of here, and we're gonna get out of here. It's gonna be okay. Don't go anywhere.
It could. Marcy definitely being kind of like a former cheerleader. Is definitely like, yeah, I'm definitely not going anywhere. It says quite catly. Please hurry up. It's cold. It's
okay.
I've got a lot of ideas here. Dan, is there anything you want to do?
Not particularly. I say run with whatever you've got.
So I'm gonna, as this thing is out of there, I'm gonna reach over and I'm gonna pick up 3 cans of my signature kitchen dish, beans. What I would like to propose is I took the janitor background. Can I have cans of beans be my mop equivalent for weapons?
absolutely.
All right.
Yes.
I feel like I've earned it, but I just want to make sure.
Add bandolier of beans to your.
Yeah, I've got 3 cans of beans with me now. So I'm gonna gently open the door and try to like roll a can of beans across the room to make noise and distract Big Mick Evil out there.
Okay, roll a wit check for me.
That's 1 success. I don't know if my bonus for it being my signature whatever matters, but that's 1 normal success.
Okay. You crack the door open as you kind of see Lopsy looking under tables and kind of searching around. You roll the can and it smoothly glides across the floor, rolls out the door, and impacts like a dustbin outside. And it hears a clank, and potentially you've disturbed a feasting raccoon, which goes like that and skitters off into the night. There's a terrible raccoon noise. And Flopsy's head kind of jerks up, and they begin heavily striding outside the dining room door, clattering behind them.
All right. We've got to get Missy out. We've got to get out of here. And I'll toss. I know I don't have the key to the back door, but I'm gonna go see if I have a key to this lock that's laying around the kitchen on my keychain.
Okay. You kind of remember where Cookie would have kept her keychain in the kitchen, and you go up to it and find that it's not there.
Okay.
But can you roll a wit check for me?
Sure. That's too strange.
So what I'm going to say is you don't hear the muffled cries in time as you reach above the oven, which is on to pick up to have a search around for her keys. It opens and something rolls out of the oven yelling kind of towards you as a rather charged to a crisp Cookie rolls out onto the tiles, swatting flames on her formerly white chef's outfit with formerly skin-covered right hand.
I just thought that was the ham for tomorrow's morning's brunch.
She's like, "Oh no, son, I'm not the ham." As she she leans up against the door and she's soldiering through the pain. But it's Ebony Band. She says, "I'm a real uneven bake." She's just got one hand, like she's got like one burnt hand. And she's like, and that one hand jammed like in her kind of apron as well. So yeah, she's very, very badly kind of injured, but still going.
I ineffectually reach up to the. I mean, like I effectively grab it, but this is going to be ineffective in any sort of significant thing. I just start rooting. I reach up and I grab the very big tin of burn cream that we have next to the first aid station and start trying to slowly apply it to Cookie's wounds to no effect. Also, lots of chat, very supportive of the raccoon noise. I just want you to know that. Chrissy says it was great. I'm T-Rex says they don't know what raccoons sound like, but that's a canon raccoon sound now in their mind, and so just FYI.
We don't have. It's because we don't have the little trash bandits in the UK. We've got foxes, and I'm not making the noise they make. It's horrific.
It's it's frightening,
haunting.
We have both here.
So you're gently as you can applying this burn cream to Cookie, and she's like, I'm assuming Lopsy tried to come after you folks as well.
Like Cookie, right? Just level with me. Is this a prank?
She looks you dead in the eye, like kind of fully two-faced, and goes, "Son, does this look like a prank to you?"
All right, but I name counselor who ran the skit, like who helped kids plan the skits for Campfire Circle. I'm like, you know, they really love to go over the top with stuff like this. You know why I'm asking? Like, I don't want to be insensitive, like as I slather. But I had to ask.
Come on now, and she knows the camera you're talking about is Dean, and she's like, Dean couldn't direct kids or counselors to do something this convincing. Come on, it's amateur dramatics. Focus on the amateur. Okay. It's a camp theater troupe. Come on.
All right, Cookie. But do you have your keys?
Yeah. Hold on. She kind of gets
just point, Cookie. Cookie, just point.
She kind of rummages around, but where'd I put it? And she takes her hand out of her apron, and then you kind of realize her hand has been cut off. And she goes up. Oh, that was my spatula hand. I didn't realize that happened. I thought I was holding him in this hand. And she kind of looks around and goes, "Oh, there it is," and then just like reaches under a kind of cabinet and pulls out a hand that's holding the key ring and pulls it away. I think I was trying to hide it. It got chopped off, but it hid itself. So here you go, and hands you the keys.
Astounding.
I'll toss the keys across the room to Missy.
I will cash those keys and unlock Marcy.
Cool. Oh yes, you open the freezer and a shivering Marcy joins you and comes over to kind of help you look after Cookie, who informs you that Lopsy attacked her, and Marcy's they were kind of like finishing up, kind of cleaning the dining room. She tried to hide kind of Marcy, panicked a little bit, but unfortunately didn't manage to fully get away from Lopsy and got shoved in the oven, but managed to sabotage it enough, knowing her own ovens well, to not be roasted too quickly, and brought it down to a low broil rather than a full-on bake.
One of my plans was literally blow this space up by using the lighter and turning the burner on the gas. I'm really glad we didn't do that right away.
Yeah.
Very glad we didn't.
I'm not saying it's not a concept for later. I'm saying for right now, I'm glad we didn't do it.
So you know that so if you ask her where anyone else is, she's not seen Schmo all evening. He's your kind of groundskeeper. He was late for breakfast and he's been AWOL since then. Has a slight suspicion that he was drunk, possibly, as is Schmo's way the past kind of 8 years, and hasn't seen Cindy kind of either for quite some time, but she knows that she, and you obviously kind of talking to her, saying that you've kind of seen her in the woods and that she was at the fire tower, and she says, well, I think maybe the best thing we can do is we need to get my Jeep, and we need to get the last few counselors. So we've got Marcy here. We need Dean, we need Ralph, and we need Janine. Now, last time I checked, they were all on the kind of outside camp. They were near the fire tower, with the archery range and the boys' cabins, I think. How about this? I'll stay here. I'll try and get the Jeep up and running, ready to go. How about you go and go get them counselors so we can all get out of here.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Sounds terrifying. But okay.
Sometimes we have to do terrifying things in order to make sure everybody's okay.
And she goes, yeah, no, what I'll do is I'll just get the car key right. And she goes, where's my car key?
Oh, great.
And as she kind of looks at you, hear a revving, tires screeching against mud, and then the kitchen wall lights up with 2 circles of light through one of the windows, and the Jeep smashes through the wooden wall of the kitchen, obliterating half of the room. I'd like you all to roll a luck check for me.
1 success.
1 success, 3 strange.
2 successes.
Okay. So unfortunately, Beans and Buster, you're going to take 1 blunt damage as the rain of debris comes through, and as the smoke clears and you look upon the wreckage of the Jeep, your dreams of a quick escape are shattered to pieces. Smoke billows from the engine, and in the front seat of the Jeep, a decapitated body burns, and you see the embroidered Camp Blood name tag reading Cindy Byers, head counselor, here to help, embroidered in her chest. And she is filled with Camp Blood's official metal arrows.
Great.
All right. So
Still thinking this is a prank?
no, Cookie told me it wasn't. I think we're past the speed of prank. Also, once I saw Loxy, like let's just say it's good I wore my brown pants today.
I don't understand what you mean.
No, I don't think so.
All right. Well, maybe we should, I don't know, get the flip out of here.
Okay. Yeah, but where are we going? So we had the Jeep. Are there any other vehicles on site?
So Cookie stands up, kind of very shakily, with Marcy helping her. She goes, okay, there's one more old vehicle. I think that maybe I can try and get going, but I think the best thing is if you go and get those campers. I can't get across that far. If Marcy here comes with me, I'm going to see if I can get that old school bus running.
So it's got to be a giant camp bus, yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Excellent. So we're going to go track down the other people. I mean, we just go out the hole in the wall now, I guess. Like
the hole in the wall that's there now was where the door was that you were going to unlock. So you can squeeze out past the rubble. And Cookie says, "Oh yeah. By the way, take these. Just in case. I know how much you kids love them. I'm just going to grab some of Cookie's famous PB&Js for you, so you have those ready to go, because it wouldn't be an adventure without peanut butter and jelly sandwiches."
It's a true statement. It's why Dungeons and Dragons is technically not an adventure game. It's because of the lack of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
That's right.
She also offers up a big meat cleaver and says, "I don't think I'm gonna be able to swing this. I think maybe one of you should take it." And kind of offers this big kind of chipped kind of meat cleaver. And got one of these. So yeah, PB&Js. You can basically nosh down on them, and they will bring your fear status down by 1. Is their effect? So because they are so warm and comforting, they will help you stay calm in any situation. So, right. So we have a plan. So Cookie is hobbling with Marcy, looking for coast is clear, and you are finding yourselves heading towards the other side of the main camp to go see who you can find.
I'm going to leave the wooden beam I have here and take Cookie's cleaver, if that works for everybody.
I think it's a solid plan.
I loop it onto my apron belt. So, and stick the 2 cans of beans in the pockets.
Fantastic. So,
I feel like there's a very powerful passing of the torch moment. It was
there is. This wasn't
and
intended to
now-
be an inherited item, but it is now.
So, you split up and you begin weaving your way through the rest of the camp and some of the trees towards the beacon that towers above everything else for where you need to go, the fire tower. So overlooking treetops of Camp Blood, you'd be forgiven for thinking this peaceful vista was a true reflection of the scenes below, but you know better. This tower now looms kind of dark in the kind of thunderous sky, and you find yourself at the base of it. You see that there appears to be a light on in the tower, but you can't see from here if there's anyone up there currently.
It sounds like a good time to take maybe a short little break, refill our coffee beverages, move around a little bit if we need to. A couple things from the chat. Chrissy Crit's shown up late, but always appreciated you being here. Says, unrelated to the story at hand, Laura, your glasses are stunning, and I love them a lot. And yes, Chrissy, Disaster Grandma is giving us snacks. We are playing Shiver Slasher. We are at Camp Blood. What could possibly go wrong at a place called Camp Blood? And we have now, as players, learned that we are in the sequel to the original Camp Blood movie. This is Camp Blood 2, Return to Camp Blood. But we're going to take a 5-minute break and be back in just a little bit to keep on playing Shiver Slasher. In the meantime, I'll make sure that link is up and running, TTRPG.link / Shiver Slasher. I will take you right over to the Game Found page in just a couple of minutes because I got to double check to make sure it got fully set up. But we'll be back in just one moment to keep on playing. And for all of our watchers out there, while you're waiting for us to come back, if you want to head over to TTRPG.link /shiverslasher, it's going to take you over to the Game Found page to go check out the amazing double feature they have right now. That's Shiver Blockbuster and Shiver Slasher. We are playing the Slasher mode. The Blockbuster mode is going to be for more cinematic kind of PG-13 level stuff. You can get one, you can get both. You can also catch up on a lot of the great stuff from past Shiver games over at TTRPG.link /shiverslasher. I've also dropped that link in the chat. We'll be back in just one moment. And we are back live on Plus One EXP playing Shiver Slasher. You can go check it out at TTRPG.link /shiverslasher. That link down below in the chat or below Dan's beautiful face. We have just gotten to the base of the fire tower. There is a light up top, but we don't know if anybody is up there. Certainly not Chrissy. Well, I mean, I guess decapitated. We never saw the head. But Chris, I'm just saying, as a player, I'm not 100% convinced. You know, as a character, I'm over the it's a prank part. I'm gonna hand things back over to Charlie to take us back into the game.
Okay, so you find yourselves at the base of the fire tower. So in terms of where everything else is kind of sitting, of where you think they could possibly be, you've got the fire tower directly in front of you. To your left, you've got the archery range. And to the right, you've got some of the boys' cabins and Schmo's cabin as well. So those are your kind of like three main areas to kind of have a little investigate and look around and see if you can find Janine, Ralph, or Dean.
I'm almost hesitant to mention this, but if we split up, we can cover more ground that way.
Should we go our own way?
Go our own way.
Hits play. So if you'd like to split up, who wants to take where?
Say the three locations again.
So we've got the archery range on the left. We've got the fire tower in the center, and we've got the kind of boys' cabins and Schmo's groundskeeper cabin, kind of in a little like arc all together to the right.
I'm heading towards those cabins. I've got some suspicions about Schmo, and I want to go take a look at Schmo's cabin particularly.
I'll check out the archery range because it feels like a place, given the theming so far, that my luck will come in handy.
Fire tower it is, and that's where the light is, so I'm happy with that.
All right, we'll meet back here at the base of the fire tower in a second.
Perfect.
Okay, so let's start with the archery range on the left. So, Beans, you head into the archery range, and you kind of begin looking around. It's very dark here. All the kind of lamps and things have gone out. If you would like to kind of have an investigate and see if you can kind of see anyone or the remnants of anybody, make a wit or a smarts check for me.
We're gonna make a smarts check for metagamey reasons. As soon as I figure out where I put my dice roller. All right, so smarts. We're gonna pump one luck point into this. Roll. That is 3 successes.
Okay, with that, you find a remarkable amount of elements as you kind of look down and go full detective. You make your way over and you kind of see the line where you would normally kind of fire from to kind of hit the bullseyes. There are a couple of like broken bows here, but rummaging around in the grass, you pick up a intact composite bow that you can use. And thinking to yourself, actually getting some arrows for this will potentially be quite useful. You look over, you kind of make your way over to the kind of storage locker. All of the archery stuff being stored in a kind of safe locker for safekeeping to keep away the sharp objects from the children when they're not doing supervised archery. You notice that there are some arrows, enough for you to kind of take and like load up a quiver for yourself, but a load of the arrows have been taken and raided. With 3 successes, you notice that the lock on it hasn't been broken; it's been unlocked.
Okay. And who runs the archery course? Like, I mean, like Chris, you would have keys. There's other people, but who like Schmo would probably have keys.
Yeah.
But like,
so the counselor who's running the activity would have keys. So in this case, it's Dean.
Okay.
Cindy, as the head of camp, has kind of master keys for everything. And for maintenance reasons, so does Schmo. So those are the 3 who would have it.
Okay.
But speaking with Dean, with your 3rd and final success, your eyes drift over to the bullseyes, and you see pinned up against one of the bullseyes, peppered with arrows, is Dean, and is dead as a doornail.
Okay. I didn't know if I was going to get close, and then all of a sudden Dean was going to like, he's back to life. But
if you'd like to get close to Dean,
I mean, like I don't like leaving Dean just hanging there. That's not a thing I like. Yeah. So I am going to go up and like shake my head and start to remove an arrow. from Dean's body to take him down from here.
Okay. So you kind of reach out and grip your hand kind of onto an arrow, and you pull it out, expecting like this gasp, this wheeze, kind of to come from his body, and he just slumps down to the floor. But as you look up into the trees beyond the archery range, I'd like to roll a wit check for me.
Yeah, because people used to call us the Eans, and we had a real good bit going with it. I have one success on that.
With that, you think that you see just for a moment a shape out in the darkness of the woods. You think that you see a pair of rabbit ears, the gleam of kind of plasticky, sheening eyes looking out at you. But as you kind of blink it away, it just looks like a oddly shaped hedge with two large leaves poking up out of the way in the shadows. But you swear you could have seen something moving as you kind of back away.
Okay. I get Dean all the way down and close his eyes, and and I just say, "Eans, it's what's for dinner," because that was one of our go-to little bits we would do, and as a way to say goodbye.
Okay, so as we move away from this sad scene, we kind of cut over to Missy making your way up the fire tower. And as you kind of round onto kind of like the square platform, you can see there are indeed lights still on. You can hear a radio buzzing away, but looking inside, you can't see anyone just through looking through the windows.
All right. I'm gonna, I guess, open the door slowly and try to like sneak my way in.
Okay, roll a wit check for me, please.
Situational awareness. Oh, good thing my wit is very not great. That is no successes. I got some hearts and a luck.
Okay.
Bank that luck.
The door creaks open in possibly the loudest it could possibly, and you make your way inside. You kind of are welcomed where there's like a sofa, there's a little desk with a kind of like radio on there. Weirdly, the radio appears to have a tarp over it with something kind of mounted on top, and there's various like lockers and desks and things in this room.
Okay, well, I can use that radio to call for help, so obviously I'm going to lift the tarp.
Okay, as you lift the tarp, you are greeted with the severed head of another counselor. It's not one of the ones that you're looking for, however. It is Katie, unfortunately. Her screaming face staring back at you. Can you make a CR1 fear check for me?
Yeah, I can certainly try. That is 0 successes. All wit on that one.
Oh, so you stumble back away from the radio, and you kind of see, as you're kind of like yelling and scampering away, you see one of the lockers just slowly opens, and then a head pokes out of it, and you realize it's Janine, and she goes, "Missy?"
Yeah. We're running.
And she goes, and she goes, "Oh, you took the tarp off," and she picks up the tarp and being like, "Yeah," and puts it back on. It's like, I didn't want to, I didn't want to look at it. It's being like, are you okay? What's going on? What, are we going? Are we being out of here?
Cookie's trying to get the bus running, and then we're gonna get the hell out of here. Have you called the outside world? Have you called for help on the radio?
It doesn't seem to be working. Like, it was working fine yesterday. Like when the kids were up here doing their like AV stuff. Like it's bust. I'm just getting static.
Okay, yeah, it must have been. I don't know. Should I look at it? Maybe I can fix it. Maybe my arts and craft skills can come in handy with electrical engineering.
Fantastic. Would you like to roll a smarts check for me?
I would love to roll. You know what? I would love to roll a smarts check that has been beefed by luck. as well.
Let me ask another question. Have you eaten a peanut butter and jelly sandwich recently to get your...
I'm going to shove a PB&J in my mouth as I'm cracking my knuckles and pulling my soldering iron out of the back pocket where I keep it. And that takes me back from being afraid to stable and also delicious.
Because the first thing you want to do after seeing a severed head,
Eat
a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yeah.
Cindy loved peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I'm hitting this in her honor.
Janine's just picking up the severed head of Katie in the top and just going, ew, 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 just moving it away from you so you can carry on with your work.
That is 3 successes, by the way.
Fantastic. So you fiddle around with it and you kind of feel that, like, yeah, some of the things here are loose, like it's been bashed around a bit, like someone did try potentially to sabotage this thing. But you managed to get it working just for a moment. Assuming you're dialing into emergency services.
Yes.
Yeah, so you managed to get through, but the signal is wavering. You've got 10 seconds. What do you say?
There's a murderer loose at Camp Blood. Get here as quickly as possible. Big guy. Several counselors still alive. Hurry!
And you hit okay, and so you feel like your message was received. But then the radio fizzles out and a little puff of smoke kind of raising off of it, and the radio is now fully dead. So yes, you've got Janine kind of waiting nervously behind you to be like, okay, that's the cops call. Shall we can we get out of here?
Yeah, we're gonna meet the others at the base of the tower. Let's get down.
Okay. And you begin descending down the fire tower. With that, we're going to cut over to the faithful Buster, torch in hand, heading over towards the kind of arc of boys' cabins and Schmo's cabin, which kind of sits in between them, a little bit further back into the woods. What would you like to do, Buster?
I mean, I might as well start off searching the like the first cabin I come up to on my right-hand side. I might as well just open the door and see if anybody's in there.
Okay, roll a luck check for me.
Oh, okay. Let's go fly a kite. 0 successes, 1 strange.
Okay. You open the door and shine your torch over, and it's kind of nothing. And then you see slumped over in the bathroom on the far side, unfortunately, is the body of Ralph. A arrow sticking kind of through his throat.
So not slumped over like in a defeated, I don't know what to do, but slumped over as in dead.
As in dead, yeah. He's
great.
Really dead.
All right. Just gonna go ahead and leave that where that lies. And at this point, just make a beeline for Shlomo. Not Shlomo, Schmo.
Okay. So as you're kind of making your way out, you see kind of hurrying over from the archery range, a bow now slung over their shoulder, is Beans, who's coming to meet you kind of in
I was gonna let you totally use it as you just see the shadow of a figure with a bow for a second.
Oh, I should have made you scare him. That's my bad. Oh well. But yes, you kind of have this tense moment where you see that shouldered bow in the dark, and then coming out of it, you just recognize apron flapping in the wind is Beans. All is fine.
Beans, great. All right, listen. Ralph's dead. Got one of the arrows just not great. Not a good situation. So I'm gonna go ahead and check out Schmo's place.
Dean is also
not
doing good.
Oh, the Eanes, bud, I'm sorry.
I know. It'll be fine. We've got to get out of here. Let's go.
This is why you don't make connections with this. You know what? Never mind. Life lesson for later. Let's check this place out.
Okay, so you head over to Schmo's cabin. It's a smaller, kind of slightly more rustic shed, as it were. But you see that you kind of smell this strange, sickly, sweet smell in the air, which is an unfamiliar and foreboding scent to kind of both of you. Do you go inside?
Yes.
Okay. So as you open the door, torch in hand, and shine it inside, you see that Schmo is home after all. His mouth is agape in shock, pushing his dirty and kempt beard into his chest. His muddied gardener boots are 3 feet off the ground. Blood has soaked through his plaid shirt, starting at the holes where the antlers protrude through his chest, and running down to his arms, to the gardening tool he clutches in a death grip, a pair of gardener's shears. It appears someone has lifted Schmo and impaled him on a deer's head, attached to his wall.
Oh dear. It's honestly, it's a rough way to go, but it looks really cool. Can we like take a minute to appreciate that like, I mean, if I'm gonna go, that's how I want to go.
Like the artistry of it, I mean, it is terrifying, it is horrible, but like,
Yeah.
you know, if this was a scene in a movie, the shot would just be incredible.
It would be a great shot. Yeah. Can I say something?
Yeah.
I always knew Schmo was too horny for his own good. Is that in poor taste?
I mean, it is, but it's also very good.
Thank you. Can we just keep that between us?
Yeah, well, I will not mention it.
I mean, there's a lot of I don't know if you've picked up on this. I handle my uncomfortability with humor. There were a lot of jokes I wanted to make this whole time.
I handle mine with a little bit of detachment. That's why I thought it was a prank for a little while. I get it.
Fair.
We also should not tell. We should not tell Missy, because you will get a lecture on the difference between horns and antlers.
Oh, for sure. And I do not have the patience for that. Oh. Okay. So maybe time to head to the fire tower and get out of here.
I think so. Yeah. You didn't find anybody?
No, just Ralph and this Joker.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So as you're turning around, a glint of light catches your eye, and you see on the other wall, the one which Schmo is not currently impaled upon, you see there's a series of photos from camp back in the 60s in its heyday, around when just before Lopsy would have turned up on the scene near the end of the 60s. You see there's a cleaner, more professional looking Schmo, a Schmo that you never got to meet, posing with the children and counselors with a big beaming smile on his face. You see Cookies there as well, and Cindy too, as well. And she's much younger. Like, it must have been one of the first times that she was a camp counselor. And you see there's a little boy there, clinging onto Cookie and Schmo, looking nervous. And you see there's another photo of Schmo with this boy again, and it's him handing a rabbit to this ecstatic child.
Oh, interesting.
Well, I guess we know why Schmo got the pretty death instead of just the, shot through or dismembered.
Yeah. I mean, I already kind of made this joke, but like clearly Schmo was dear to this guy.
It's still solid.
Thank you. So, oh man, let's take a look at this board and see if maybe we can figure anything out about this kid and see if that'll help us, I don't know, come up with some sort of information on how to stop him, or like talk to him and be like, oh, hey, here's your name. Let's maybe not kill everyone.
Yeah. Just talk therapy, use the normal camp, conflict resolution rules.
Maybe not those though, because that blows.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So you want to investigate this cabin a bit more?
Yeah.
Okay. Could you roll a smarts check for me, please, both of you?
I'm gonna bump up my smarts a little bit, and do that. That is 3 successes for me.
3 successes for me as well.
We smart boys.
Fantastic. So yeah, you kind of draw the dots together. You see that Schmo knew the child that went missing in his infancy and gave him a rabbit, and they appear to be close. You appear to be close to Cookie as well. You also notice that the blood pooling a little bit more in a more grisly fashion isn't pooling normally. And at the base of where Schmo's feet is, it appears to be moving into a hollow in the floorboards beneath. And as you kind of open it up, you find a kind of little wooden box that's kind of filled with various things. One that kind of stands out to you is a letter, which if you open up and read it, this is what it says. I done carried this weight for now 10 years now, and I can't carry it no more. I'm happy and grateful to be here again. I love the camp. I love watching them city kids grow up and learn what it takes to make it in the world. Don't think I isn't grateful. But I saw what I saw, and I did what I did. When that boy, and you see boys scribbled out, replaced with monster, came back, I knew. He never laid no finger on me nor Cooks. That's how I knew. There was no grudge for us, not for the other kids, even the mean ones. It was all about you. Why'd you go and do it for? Spite? Maybe there's a bit of a monster in you too. Maybe when you've done what you've done, you felt bad, but maybe not. But you did it. You killed that poor boy's bunny, hung it from the fire tower, and I saw it. I saw all of it. And worst of all, when it was all your fault, you didn't make it right. You watched him kill all of the. And you see counselors, you see, and then it's a scribbled out counselors and put your friends, and you hid. You were scared. I know. I saw you. I was the one that killed that slasher. I buried him too, proper as I could underneath the old cabins. But you went on like you was the hero, and I don't care none about that. I paid my penance, and I was quiet, like don't take no pride in what I had to do. And then you went and reopened this place, and I've been quiet way too long. You ain't no final girl. You're a fraud, and a mean one to boot.
Oh, dip. Listen.
I feel way better about the knife I got now.
Wow. Yeah, that's some sham machete, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy,
I cannot wait to rub Missy's face in that.
Look, I mean, I wasn't going to point it out, but it does seem a little nominally determined, like Chrissy to Missy. You know what I'm saying? Like that hand-me-down just seemed like, and it seemed like Chrissy
I do
was
think
really
it's funny that you've worked for her for so long and can't get right that her name is Cindy.
Right. Yeah. It is funny.
Yeah.
But I always called her Chrissy. Was that just me?
Yeah. It was.
Oh. No wonder she never answered when I called out for her. I just
that
thought
would
she didn't
explain
like
that,
me.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now my question is Cindy the one right now doing all of this?
Oh, like you mean like a prank? Like a
murder spree more than a prank.
Murder prank, we could call it.
I'm about to be exposed as a liar, so I might as well kill everyone type of situation.
Yeah, well, my player knows information that reinforces that, but my character doesn't.
Fine. So it's yeah. We should probably get
we
to
have
that.
this conversation on our way back over to the fire
yeah.
far too loudly for our own good.
So you make your way kind of like to the middle of like the arc, and you are met by Marcy and not Marcy, Janine. Marcy's the cold one. Janine and
who would
Missy.
ever mess up a character's name in an RPG?
And you all reconvene there, and kind of Janine kind of now shivering against the cold, being like, "Okay, where's Dean? Where's Ralph? Is this everybody?
This is everybody.
Dean is.
We don't need to. We can just say this is everybody. That tells everyone everything they need to know. We don't need to get into gritty details about arrows in throats or whatever things happen to people.
Janine kind of goes, "Oh, okay. Well, I think we should get going." And she turns and starts walking off at a hurried step. And as she does, you hear the telltale twang and as an arrow. This time, not kind of in its usual state, this time on fire, goes straight through her throat and lands on the other side, and you see it ignites something as high tall fire begins to go around you, and a huge ring of fire is now surrounding you, like burning the arc of cabins around you. And as you swing around, you see the slasher approaching you from the kind of other side of the flames, walking through. They've lowered their blow and they flick kind of a small kind of object against their thigh and just throw a match in there for good measure as they begin kind of moving their way towards you ominously. This like wall of flame all around you is tall, it's high, and it's causing you to kind of back up towards Lopsy, who's making their way towards you, armed to the teeth. What would you like to do?
I feel like I should probably make a fear check because fire is my thing.
Absolutely. Yes, please. Thank you very much.
Oh,
hence when I said it would not be good for you.
Which will explain why you either catch or don't catch the bow and arrow quiver that I toss at you as you make that check.
Considering 0 successes on that and 0 strange, just absolutely nothing.
Yeah, so a quiver just collides with you as you become afraid, just looking at the wall of like immolation around you.
I think as it hits you, I notice it, and I come over and I like shake your shoulders, and I like slap you, and I just say, "Look, I don't know about you, but this isn't the day this beans gets baked." And I slide the I cannot remember it. The
stroll guy
over your ears. We are going to need another song that's related to this moment, chat, that starts playing diegetically for Dan's character for this fight scene also too, which is where we are at.
We're a bit too early for We Didn't Start the Fire, aren't we?
Yeah. I mean, fire related is good. Dan has already thrown out Disco Inferno.
Harry Nilsson's jump into the fire.
It's very good. But other members of the chat, go ahead and give us some, because again, we want as many 60s and 70s artists as we can put back at the #1 slot, Kate Bush style. We want to do that from this stream. So let us know who else we should be lifting up. I loved it. Amanda just keeps on going to ABBA songs.
Doing ABBA. I love it.
SOS is very good though. All right. We'll give people a little bit of time while we figure that out. Does Missy have anything she wants to do specifically?
Well, you know what? I'm gonna hold my machete aloft, and I'm gonna stare Lops in the eye. I'm gonna say, "Hey, I've got Cindy's machete here. I'm not afraid of you because her spirit and her artistry has gone into this.
Oh no!
You should be afraid of me.
So
I'm fighting with Cindy's strength."
So, a wonderful speech, I must say. I'm going to give you minor advantage on your next attack for that because that's fantastic.
Yes.
However, Lopsy is going to stop, cock their head to one side, raise their bow, and you hear the kind of creaking drawback of this heavy bow blurts in the first Lord of the Rings style as it knocks up an arrow, and they're going to let loose as they're going to fire an arrow directly at you. And that is a hit. So you're going to take 2 piercing damage as a arrow gets you on the other shoulder from the front this time. Yeah. And they lower the bow and they begin kind of continue moving slowly towards you. What would the rest of you like to do?
I will let Dan decide what song is actually played in the earphones that we diegetically hear come over before I do my action.
I'm absolutely going SOS by ABBA. It's such a great suggestion.
So he fires this thing. We hear ABBA's SOS come over the top. And I draw the big meat cleaver in one hand and a can of beans the other. I'm gonna run at this guy, and say, yell, I've always wanted to make a rabbit bean stew, and attack him.
Okay, roll an attack for me, please.
And I did say Amanda had asked a little bit more about the dice rolling mechanics, so we're going to go over them one more time. I'm going to pop it up here next to me on the screen so folks can see it. So we got the archetype dice system. So we've got kind of our skill dice across the top, each one of which is different. Some of them will have a talent down below, depending on the character type you do. You also have a luck bank up above that, which is my character, the Fool, takes significant advantage of. And then your fear status will come into play also too. But generally, you're going to be rolling D6s, are those top ones that have the different emblems on each side for that. You're looking for matches in your dice pool to that, but you also might roll your talent dice if you have one for that part of your stats or skill, and those will give you different things. Also, if you succeed or fail, whether you get strange matters or not. And so this is going to be grit, which I suck at. I guess because of the type of. Oh wait, no, this is wit, which is better because I'm better at that. So I've got 3 normally, so I'd be rolling 3 dice. My character makes heavy use of luck, so I'm going to go ahead and sorry, I did that backwards. I'm going to pump 2 luck dice into this, and we're going to roll, which means that I just got 1 strange, no successes, a lot of smarts, if the GM wants to take that into account. But basically, I didn't match the symbol I was going for at all on those 5 dice. But the GM could take what I did roll into account. The fact that I rolled 1 strange means we're going to click the doom clock up by 1, and that 1 luck, my character is going to bank to boost my dice pools in future rolls. So that's a little bit about how the dice mechanic works in Shiver.
Okay, so you rush in, kind of swinging your cleaver as fast as you can. Your kind of trained chef hands, used to chopping very, very quickly. You notice with 1 smart, so I'll give you don't land a blow, but you notice that for someone kind of so big, this person is like incredibly fast. Like they're very, very kind of like live and limber, and are easily kind of stepping out of the way of a bunch of your attacks. Not really what you would have expected.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. That's what I do.
Fantastic.
Well, I'm going to try to calm my fear by listening to this amazing ABBA song, and ideally then run forward and try and smack this thing with my big torch.
Okay, go for it. Roll an attack for me, please.
All right. That's only going to be 1 success.
1 success. 1 success is enough as you kind of bring down the torch and kind of club them in the chest. You feel it kind of impact against something like a bit harder. Like there's some kind of like thick, heavy padding underneath there as they kind of grunt and stagger back a little bit. But are not heavily perturbed. They are going to, however, as this is a thing with Slasher, going to get to roll on their own unique react table.
So tell us a little bit about that mechanic since it's unique to Slasher.
Mm-hmm. So our react tables are something that are in the core book. So whenever you hit a creature, there's a chance that it could react. The more reactive, so what happens as a director when I'm running the game, if somebody hits an enemy, I roll a single core die. So the more reactive are, the more symbols they react on. The only symbol they'll never react on is luck, because that's the players getting lucky that they don't actually manage to react. So slashers, for the new book Generation Murder, each slasher has its own unique react table that's flavored to them and a certain kind of fighting style. So you can't identify whether it's a bruiser enemy or an agile enemy. They're going to do something that's quite unexpected. To kind of keep them scary, keep them fresh, and keep them pretty terrifying. So we're going to see what they do. So they roll something that will trigger a reaction. And you see they shoulder they kind of stagger back, and as they do, they shoulder their bow, and from their back, reach back, pull out their giant fire axe, and one-handed, swinging the blunt end around, swing it around, sweeping it in front of them. And that is going to hit both of you for 2 blunt damage as you're both in close combat range with them.
Oof.
I am weakened.
Okay, so with that being kind of, and now it's going to bring us back around to Lopsy, who, axe in hand, is going to launch an attack at one of you. Who would they attack first? Let's roll the dice. That's who they'll attack first.
I'm just saying, I didn't hit them, actually.
Yeah.
Let's throw it out there.
So thematically, they look over to Buster, and you can kind of see some dark eyes glaring at you behind those lenses as they raise the axe to swing down on you. And they get a hit as the sharp edge of the axe comes down in kind of the nape of your shoulder, pushing down, and you take 3 sharp damage. And I need you to roll a luck check for me, please.
For tetanus. Classic trope of any horror movie. Tetanus.
That is 0 successes, 1 strange.
Okay, so you're going to start bleeding now. So like, it's taken additional 1 damage. So now every time it comes back around to your turn, you're going to take an additional damage. Is how bleeding works. So you'll need to get someone to do a smarts check, or do a smarts check on yourself, try and stop the bleeding, or use some form of healing item in order to stop the bleeding. So that is going to keep on going, I'm afraid.
If only we still had that burn cream.
If only.
Only we had some axe cream.
Fantastic. So that brings us with that kind of gory blow being dealt to Buster, the axe kind of being pulled out and blood splaying everywhere. What would the rest of you like to do? What I'm doing is I'm just grouping you all together so you can decide your own order if you want to achieve something tactically together. So that is always an option.
Tactics are good, but I think I'm just going to dive in there machete first.
Fantastic. So remember, you get, as it's an inherited item, you get a minor advantage with this weapon.
You get an advantage.
So an additional D6 on your rolls.
Okay, I can do that. And this is going to be grit to attack?
Yes.
Okay. That is... Oh, wait. Okay, that was 0 successes, but then I neglected to actually include my minor advantage. So let me... That continues to be 0 successes, 0 strange.
Cool.
So you run kind of two-handed, yelling, kind of with a machete, swing it down, and Lopsy swiftly steps back, it narrowly missing their foot, but digging into the soil below. And because you didn't manage to hit, it luckily does not trigger a reaction at this time. So Buster or Beans, who would like to go next?
I'm gonna throw one of my bean cans at Lopsy's head. And I'm going to say, look, can we just talk while I throw this can? It's going to be great. That is 2 successes and 1 strange.
So that is a bang on hefty hit. How much do your cans do?
I don't know. They do 1 extra because they are my signature weapon. I don't know how much a can of beans does though. This is I mean, practically, I know a can of beans is enough to crack a skull. Don't ask me how I practically know that, but
I'm gonna let it do 4 damage. Like, a can of beans is like thrown by someone who knows how to throw a can of beans.
Right, and these are not small cans. These are not these are not gallon cans, but these are like the 22-ounce cans of beans.
So there's this moment the slasher looks terrifying, wielding an axe high above, and Beans, you pull out a can of your namesake and you hurl it at the slasher with all of your might, and it collides straight with the ceramic plasticky looking mask. And sometimes you hear like that as the kind of mask cracks, and you see half of it falls away, and you see the slasher heaving over, steps over for a second, and just begins swearing. And then just turns around to you and goes, "Why won't you just die? Can't you see how this story ends?" And a hand kind of comes away, and you see underneath that is the recognizable face, but not the look of Cindy Byers. looking at you with pure fury, as you kind of now have this horrifying cracked half rabbit mask and this mad singular eye staring at you.
I mouth the word over at both of you, prank.
So she's kind of staggering around and kind of gripping onto the face, like a little bit dazed, and she just kind of looking around, going, everyone else died so easily, but you, and points at you, Beans. You managed to avoid every trap, as if by some sheer chance, even when I lost you in the woods. Like, it should have been easy as that. You should have died to a hail of arrows. But somehow, by some dastard miracle, you're alive, and that cannot happen. Cool. With that, Buster, would you like to do anything, or would anyone like to say anything to Cindy? Yeah.
I would like to use one of my warrior abilities. Get behind me.
Okay.
Which is on your combat turn, you may use an interact action to choose one ally within near range of you. That's gonna be Beans. If they are attacked before your next combat turn, roll a grit check of CR1. If you succeed, you can have all the damage from the attack dealt to you. Because it seems like Beans is kind of the focus of the ire right now. That's what I feel like Buster would do.
What a guy.
Fantastic. Yeah, you kind of shuffle in front of Beans, kind of readying yourself.
And it's a pretty limping shuffle, let's be honest. I'm not doing great.
Cool. So is there anything else you'd like to do with your turns? You use your interact to kind of set up your get behind me. Are you wanting to launch an attack?
No, I'm just gonna turn to Beans and say, listen, gonna need you to stay safe here. And tell the story. If I don't make it out of here, you need to tell people. Also, Missy, I don't know if that machete's worthwhile. And that's it. That's gonna be my turn.
Fantastic. So with this filled with rage, we're now going to go back to Lopsy, or in this case, as we now know, Cindy Byers, as she raises her axe and charges at you, Beans, as you very correctly predicted. Goes, just die! Like that, and swings her axe towards you. And that is going to be a hit. However, Dan, if you'd like to tell us how your skill works, that'd be wonderful.
Yes. So if whoever I'm in front of gets attacked, I make a grit check of CR1, and if I succeed, which I got 2 successes, I can have all of the damage from the attack dealt to me instead, or both you and your ally are dealt half the damage rounded down. I'm just going to take all of the damage.
Okay, fantastic. So you take 3 sharp damage. They say, like, as you kind of dive in front of Beans and put your forearm up, and the axe blade just digs straight in down to the bone. And I'd like you to roll another luck check, please.
0 successes.
Okay, so now your bleed has gone up to 2. So you're going to take 1 additional damage, and yes, and you should have taken 1 more damage on the previous turn as well.
Yep,
it's getting pretty gnarly.
I have 2 left before I'm dead.
So if we don't end this next turn.
So she pulls out the axe and kind of staggers backwards and goes, you think you can save them? It was never about them. I need to be the one to save them. Otherwise, what good's being a final girl? I'm the hero of Camp Blood. 2 times, not 1. And it kind of begins kind of like stalking around, kind of with the thing trying to get to you, Beans. But that's going to bring us back to all of you now. So what would you like to do?
I mean, that feels like I don't want to dictate other people's actions, but this feels like a good moment for Missy to stab her in the back.
I was just thinking, like, is her attention very fully on Beans?
So just to check with Missy, did you add that minor advantage on top of your other minor advantage for the speech that you made?
I did not. Oh.
I'll tell you what, it's stored up. I'm going to give you major advantage now. Now you've realised the horror of everything. Just add that all in and go for it.
Okay, and major advantage means I add a talent die?
You do. So you add one of these little d8s. Yes.
Okay. Let me hit the button. Well, that now is 3 successes.
Boom!
Machete to the back.
So that is a critical success. So with that, you kind of charge kind of forwards as she's stalking around the Beans. You kind of charge through Beans and Buster through the middle, jump and plunge it through, and it lands straight kind of towards where the kind of heart is, and she staggers back. The kind of machete stuck kind of in her chest, your hands kind of still gripping onto it. She goes, no, I was gonna be the hero. I had April tied up. I was gonna let her go after all is done. She'd be the witness. It'll all be fine. I'd switch the costume. As you see, she's losing a lot of blood as she's kind of like pouring out, reaching, trying to kind of grab kind of at you. So just to clarify what a critical hit does, so it does double damage. So I know that your machete does 4, so it does 8 in one go. It also knocks, because you're using rolling grit, it knocks somebody prone. So you force her down to her knees, this machete in her chest. And she's looking in a bad way, but still alive. And she's like, well, if I'm going out this way, I guess I've got to take you with me. As she says, looking straight into your eyes, Missy, and you see she reaches behind her and pulls out what looks like a hunting knife, and raises her hand as she's kind of got you gripped and your hands on the machete to try and stab you kind of in the face, kind of in the neck. But before she can, you hear the tail and a twang in the distance as an arrow burst through Cindy Byers' throat.
2 types of arrows.
And it is correct indeed, Beans. It is this gnarled, almost looks like it's carved from a rough branch arrow that's gone through her throat, and Cindy Byers, gurgling, topples back. Her eyes kind of had face landing on the dirt, and as her eyes look out through the fire, as do all of yours, you see the silhouetted of a much larger, hulking, silhouetted figure, lowering a bow, and the silhouette steps back into the forest and disappears as Cindy Byers gasps her last breath, going, "But I was the final girl," and then falls still. Woo! So, smash cut to about an hour later, or a couple of hours, let's say. The fires have died down. You kind of see Cookie and Marcy with blankets around their shoulders talking to police. The kind of a group of detectives around the body of the half disguised Cindy Byers. And you're all kind of sat on kind of the picnic benches on the edge of Lake Blood. So I'd like you to take a moment, like kind of how are you feeling? The dawn's kind of just about rolling in now, after this very bloody and hectic night. How are you all feeling? What are your kind of last moments before we roll credits?
And Dan, I've definitely sutured up Buster's wound with some some baking twine, like you would a chicken that you stuffed, from the kitchen.
I'm definitely feeling woozy and tired and pained, but also a little bit vindicated. A little bit I was right to not like people.
I'm also feeling very vindicated because it was a prank the entire time. Some people would call it the deadliest game. I would call it the deadliest prank. And I'm looking out over the light, and I'm holding my last cans of beans, and I look over at Missy, and I say, "Oh man, that Chrissy, what a has-been."
Super not her name, but you know what? She's Chrissy now. Doesn't deserve to be Cindy anymore.
People won't even remember her, won't even know that she was the villain.
Yeah. And this conversation fades away as the camera kind of soars over Lake Blood, past kind of the cops and kind of paramedics hauling black bags of kind of bodies into the ambulances, as the camera finally rests on the swinging sign of Camp Blood. What could possibly go wrong? And that's where we'll end our session.
The end. As a figure runs across the road, it's time for our reaction roll. Reaction roll is a live stream inside of a live stream. It's our chance to sit down with the creator of a game that we just played and talk about what it was like to play that game. Today we were playing Shiver Slasher, which is part of the double feature game found crowdfunding project. You can go check it out right now at TTRPG.link /Shiver Slayer, or go over to GameFound, type in Shiver, it'll pop right up. We had Charlie running it for us. We talked a little bit about the Kickstarter earlier while we were having some technical difficulties, so we're going to skip over that part. Go back and check it out in the video if you weren't here for us over on YouTube. It'll be up right after we're done playing, but let's meet our other players and talk a little bit about what they thought about playing. Laura, it's your first time playing Shiver with us here. Tell people who you are, what you do, and what it was like to play Shiver Slasher.
Hi, I'm Lara Page Turner. I make games, and I enjoyed playing this game. It was a lot of fun. I really liked it. This is my very first time playing it. I'm really interested in like the dice mechanics and the way those suss out. I kind of want to I would like to play it again and more to see in depth how that goes, but it's pretty cool. And I love it. I love a Doom clock. I mean, clocks are fun and Doom is fun, and you put them together and then you just get to announce, oh, I've made everything worse by trying, to your GM every so often, and that's wonderful.
Did you have any questions you wanted to ask? Also, you should point out the different aspects of your costume. A lot of people in chat noticed it, but you were arts and crafts director, so you came fully kitted out. If any questions you have, plus tell us a little bit about your outfit.
Okay, I mean, I'll tell you about my outfit. This is my dead inside dress. I actually can take off my badge. I didn't die, but if I did, I would have had a little rest in peace tombstone. And I went with the most 70s I could make my hair, and this very lovely flower crown that my wife got me for Christmas.
Love it.
Lovely.
Peak camp art director vibes. I love it. Any questions that you wanted to ask Charlie?
I wasn't prepared for questions. Oh God.
We can also loop back around to you. It's fine. If people out in the chat have any questions, let us know also too. We'll hop over to Dan. Dan, tell people who you are, what you do, where they can find you online, and what it was like to play Shiver Slasher.
All right, yeah. So my name's Dan. You can find me online basically anywhere at DanTendo64. I am a podcaster and puzzle creator and just massive RPG nerd. I have played Shiver several times with Charlie at this point, but also I have a campaign that I'm doing with some friends because it's just absolutely one of my favorite RPGs at this point. It is so fun. And this one was just adding to the pile of great experiences. I absolutely loved it. And I mean, I'm a huge horror movie fan, which is one of the reasons why I love Shiver, because it's just a love letter to horror movies. But this one particularly felt very like campy. I mean, obviously campy, but like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was beautiful thematically, so on point. Obviously, I'm gonna just like fan out about every single version of this that I can. But my question for you, I think, would be, what is your favorite new mechanic introduced in the slasher, as opposed to the stuff that you've had in previous versions?
So there's one big one that stands out. So it's one of the main mechanics for Generation Murder, which is going to be the main kind of slasher expansion book. So the kind of clues in the name is that it's the inheritance system, and we got to see a little bit of that with the kind of passing of the torch, which turned out to be a bit of a ruse from Cindy Byers. And not passing the torch at all. She very much wanted to clutch onto it all by herself. But the inheritance system, the idea is that slashers are deadly stories. People die all the time. And in Shiver, we're no stranger to death. Like, we have options for what you do when your characters die. But we had a really interesting discussion about how sequels work and requels, as well as our new writer Adam kind of puts out with like put to me with the new Halloween films. And we wanted a way to kind of create a lineage of characters that are interconnected, to create these interconnected stories that you see in horror movie sequels, tying people together, forging kind of relationships across multiple decades through mechanics. So the way that we've done that is that if your character dies or retires, which is also an option, you pass on an element of yourself to your descendant. So that can be an item, it can be a boon or a life lesson, but you also inherit some of their trauma, some of their fears, some of the things that they told you, you know, kind of as a kid, for example. You know, if grandma, so Jamie Lee Curtis, fought against Michael Myers, that's a really good example because she takes her grandkid hunting. They have that experience, so she knows to aim for the chest if a slasher ever turns up, but also is swirling in that paranoid element of that her grandmother has passed on to her. So that's what I kind of love, of that there are these elements of characters being uniquely different from one another, but having relationships across stories, dead and alive, that kind of goes in new directions. Which ties in very nicely with this interconnected big web of slashers that we have for the book, which tells a story that has a prequel in the 1930s but stretches from 1950s all the way up to modern day. So you can choose to retire your character and pass on stuff to a new descendant, or you can try and survive and be an octogenarian trying to punch Jason Voorhees in the face with a Zimmer frame, which to me is my goal. I love the inheritance system, but my goal is survival, and I want to fight a slasher as an 8-year-old.
I love that.
But that's probably my new favorite kind of element mechanically from slasher.
Nice.
Awesome. So this is, I think, great for even there's two things I want to make sure we do before we go offline, because one, we have a tradition. What we're creating is a tradition where y'all don't get to hear it, but we let Dan react with no audio as Charlie says what's coming next in the Shiver series. We're going to do that in just a second. But I'm a T-Rex in chat asked, how does a campaign of this work? Which, Dan, you're running one, so if you have any insight, I'd love to hear this. But Charlie, you just talked a little bit about the slasher concepts overall, which answered a lot of those questions. I think a lot of people see horror games and they immediately think like one shot, right? Like, we're going to do it. Horror lives in that realm. But we do see a lot of horror things that are very campaign oriented, especially as y'all have started looking at different genres of play. Because Gothic, like Shiver Gothic, like playing in a Gothic setting lets you just keep on playing because it's about the setting being horrific and you living in that world. Slasher opens it up by creating these webs. But even Dan, like, just from your experience running a campaign at home, what is that? How has that worked? What does that look like?
So, I mean, on like, in my experience, our campaign is set in the 90s, and it's basically like a series of vignettes. All of the players work together at a pizza store, and when they go out on deliveries, weird and creepy and horrific things happen. And like, we built out this town where they all live, and like, in doing that, got a bunch of touchstones for different things to play off of. And each session kind of is its own story, but then just kind of connecting those stories with a larger overarching thing, which kind of develops as we go. But I see it more as kind of like almost a horror TV show, right? Kind of like a Monster of the Week style. Like, yeah. session is a standalone thing, but there's connectivity throughout all of the rest of it.
Cool. Love it. Charlie, anything you want to add about campaign play?
Yeah, no, so I've had very similar experiences for like kind of regular campaigns that I run. But also like with this story, for example, this is a very compressed version of what's in the starter set. So quite often, like I'll run a game that can be quite one shot in nature, but they can run almost like I do the first act, second act, third act, and split stuff out that way over 3 sessions. But yeah, kind of doing it that way of almost like interconnected one shots, which is something that Slash is exploring, is more about creating sequels. In a way of that, like connecting your characters, maybe having a different slasher, but having returning characters facing different threats in kind of new eras and with kind of new enemies popping up as well. So for me, like there's, I think Dan's completely right, is that I think there for very kind of continuous play, it almost feels like a TV show. And because my background's in film and TV, I'm very glad to hear that's coming across, because that is kind of how I always intended it to kind of be, is feeling like a kind of a big Monster of the Week TV show, or like a big kind of hit like slasher movie on the big screen, which you know is going to have like 5 sequels, so you can have a lot of fun with returning to it.
Love it. I had a blast playing. I also will say I love some of the different shifts in this, not only the inherited weapon, like I felt like more than ever before we were making fear checks. I know we have in the other plays we've done, but I felt like that came to the forefront a whole lot more, and I think that's a lot easier to just throw in, sometimes with setting, but also build the encounters a little bit more around those for characters. And so it was really cool to see that. And it seemed very intentional by the amount of things you gave us that let us bring that back down also too. And I was going to comment, like the cinematographic style really comes from your background, but like you are very good at taking and dealing with like the compression or release of that. And one of my favorite things about Shiver is you can go as granular in as you want to, or pull back out and be very cinematic and just do kind of big beats, and it flows into that very, very well by its design. So I just kudos as always. Now we're gonna do the thing that we did last time, where I'm gonna turn off the audio, and Dan is gonna get to hear, because a question we'll always ask is like, what's next after this, right? Dan is gonna get to hear what's next after this. All the rest of y'all are just gonna get to see Dan's face while Charlie describes it. I'm gonna do 2 things as part of that. I'm gonna switch the view so we get a big shot of Dan's face. And
no one needs that,
which wasn't a big deal until last time. You could just see the light go up in Dan's eyes as we did this, and so I'm going to make sure it's a little easier to see. But I'm going to turn off the audio in just a second, so that we don't give any spoilers out. So here we go with that. All right, people will still be able to hear me, but Charlie, no one can hear you. So if you want to go ahead and tell Dan what's coming next for Shiver.
So what's coming next for Shiver is we actually shifted the release around. Originally it was going to be Shiver Hometown, which is going to be the release after, which is kids on bikes, build your own town together, kind of thing. However, we tried to time that to come out around when Stranger Things comes out. So looking at their production schedule, I figured out that's not a good place for that actually to land. So we've shifted that by a year. So what's coming in instead is Shiver Paranormal, which is where you can hunt ghosts with your friend, full exorcisms and all of that. And the big mechanical thing that's coming in with that is you don't upgrade your character, you upgrade your equipment, you upgrade your sanctuary. So all of those things are going to get their own skill trees.
Oh, damn. That is super cool.
All right. I'm putting audio back on real quick, because I know Dan has a heart out in just a second. Dan, tell people how excited you are about that without any spoilers.
Boy, I didn't think I could be more excited, and I was wrong. I am so excited. This is going to be so much my jam.
Oh, very glad to hear it.
You get a hint that here's the hint I'll tell you. They moved some things around in their production schedule to do things differently. And it's going to add some really cool new stuff to Shiver. That's all I'm going to tell you. It doesn't tell you anything. We actually got kind of two upcoming release concepts it mixed into that. I will say, because we've got to hop off just real quick, I will, because Dan has to go. Normally I wouldn't say this on air. I would love to see some of Dan's pizza delivery service make it into something upcoming. Y'all run your company the way you want, but I think Dan's earned it, and one of those things that might fit really well into a couple upcoming things that we've got, just so everybody's aware. We've got on Friday The Devil in New Jersey, another horror thing. Lots of spooky games coming up over the course of the next little bit. So we're gonna be playing that with John Hambone McGuire. It's a 3-2-1 action. If you like cinegraphic horror, come back. 3-2-1 action is one of my favorite, and I think one of the most underrated systems out there. Also, if you want to go support the channel, go over to our store, check out the Together We Go fall bundle. But with that said, we've never figured out a good way to end streams, and at this point, we're not going to try. We're just going to wave at the camera until I take us off air. Go to TTRPG.link /shiverslasher to check out everything for the campaign.